Who would have dreamed that Arkansas teammates Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson would be back in Dallas in the middle of one of pro football's hottest rivalries?
Pearson Young back behind. Here's Longley. He's going for all the marbles to Pearson. He's open. From the 8-yard line. No shotgun this time. Staubach throwing in the end zone. Cody Hill. Touchdown. Cody Hill.
Indeed, the hands of fate have gathered a new regime of talent in a rivalry that has once flickered but still burns brightly.
It's important for me to get the rivalry back to where it once was, and the Cowboys back to where they once were.
The Cowboys and Redskins get together. You'd hate to lose to the Cowboys, and if you're a Cowboy, you'd hate to lose to the Redskins.
We want to go out there and we want to beat them. We want them to realize that we are the new Cowboys, and we're not going to take anything from nobody.
I never imagined that I would be part of the rivalry. I know this, that I'm honored to be part of it now.
Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas is sold out today for the 59th renewal of one of the keenest rivalries in the NFL history, the Washington Redskins versus the Dallas Cowboys. And good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton along with Dan Fouts. It has been 5 years since the Redskins dropped their first 2 games of the season under Joe Gibbs. But, Dan, I don't think it was anything like the heartbreaking losses that the Redskins have suffered the last 2 weeks. What was your take on Joe when we talked to him yesterday?
Well, Joe Gibbs said that loss to the Eagles was the most devastating loss he's ever experienced, including the loss to the Raiders in the Super Bowl. You would think that with all the turnovers that the Skins have had the last couple of weeks, that Gibbs would want to play close to the vest today. But not so. He's going to play wide open football. He's going to throw the ball just as much as possible, and he really wants his special teams to contribute to this game, come up with a big play.
And he hasn't had that yet. Now, as far as the Cowboys are concerned, they have been 26 years since they were 0-2, and this is the curtain riser for Jimmy Johnson and the new era of the Dallas Cowboys. What are your thoughts of Dallas after 2 games?
Well, everybody knows they have a new coach, a new owner, new quarterback, and a whole bunch of new players. But Jimmy Johnson is striving to find an identity for this football team. When he was at the University of Miami, he played high-powered offense, very aggressive defense. Not so far here with Dallas, but maybe he had better personnel at the University of Miami. One thing's for sure, this is the kind of game I love to see. I believe it's going to be a high-scoring affair.
It is 63 degrees, unseasonably cool here in Dallas, although the temperature is expected to reach up into the mid-70s. Partly cloudy skies, but a beautiful afternoon for football here at Texas Stadium. The Washington Redskins have won the toss. Roger Ruzek will be kicking off. Joe Howard, number 80, and A.J. Johnson are deep. And it's going to be Howard at the 8-yard line. Good return by Howard, gets it beyond the 25-yard line where Darrell Johnston makes the stop. Mark Rypien, the quarterback, with good numbers in the first 2 games. His offensive line, and one of the best in the game, Jim Lachey, Russ Grimm, Jeff Bostic, Mark May, and Joe Jacoby up front. Don Warren is the tight end. Gerald Riggs and Ernest Biner. Biner the H-back. Art Monk and Gary Clark the wide receivers, and we'll see a lot of Ricky Sanders. First and 10 on the 29. They send Biner out wide right. Rypien, in and out of the hands of Art Monk. The Dallas defense, 38-year-old Ed Jones, Willie Broughton, Dean Hamill, the former Redskin, and Jim Jeffcoat. The defensive line, Randy Shannon, a rookie from the University of Miami, along with Eugene Lockhart and Ken Norton are the linebackers. Everson Walls and Robert Williams, the cornerbacks. Ray Horton and Vince Albritton, the safeties. And Francis and Hendrick will see action in the nickel back. 2nd and 10. Here is Riggs for his first carry. Gerald Riggs gets to the 32. Randy Shannon on the tackle.
You know, everybody talks about the fumbles for Gerald Riggs, but you look at that 332 yards, nobody's talking about the fact that he gained 221 of that last week against the Eagles. But that's what happens when you lay the ball on the ground. The guy's does not have the history of being a fumbler, but he's labeled one so far this year.
He was upset that no one talked about the great game he had. 3 wide receivers, Ricky Sanders in motion. 3rd down and 8. Rypien going deep. Gary Clark was the intended receiver. Duke double covered downfield by the Cowboys, including Horton and Everson Walls. And it's 4th down, and the Redskins will kick it away.
Nice job by Ray Horton coming over and adding an exclamation point to the end of that play by knocking Gary Clark on his behind on the sidelines.
Ralph Moshienko, formerly of San Diego, and Kelvin Martin goes deep for the Cowboys. Good high kick by Moshienko, and a fair catch by Martin inside the 25-yard line. A 43-yard kick by Moshienko. And the debut in regular season of Troy Aikman, an impressive rookie who passed for 241 yards last week. The offensive line, Mark Tuinay, Nate Newton, Tom Rafferty, Crawford Kerr, and Kevin Gogan. Steve Folsom starts at tight end. Herschel Walker and Broderick Sargent are the backs. Kelvin Martin and Michael Irvin, the wide receivers. Ray Alexander, who signed this week, is the 3rd wideout. And it's Walker up the middle for a couple. Raven Caldwell makes the stop. The Redskins defense, it's been a trouble spot for them. Dexter Manley, Darrell Grant, Marcus Cook, and Charles Mann are the defensive linemen. Raven Caldwell starts for Monty Coleman. Neil Olkowitz and Wilbur Marshall the others. Coleman will come in mostly on passing downs. Brian Davis and Darrell Green at the corners. Todd Bowles and Alvin Walton the safeties, and they're the nickel backs behind them. 2nd down and 8 on the 27. And the pitch to Scott, Kevin Scott. And the Redskins smell it out. And a loss back to about the 25-yard line. Making the tackle Charles Mann, the outstanding defensive end.
An interesting play call there. They sent Herschel Walker in motion to be the lead blocker for Kevin Scott. You won't see that very often. At least we haven't seen that type of play from Herschel Walker in a long time. And to be honest with you, he didn't make much of a block.
Jimmy Johnson, who said this morning, I woke up and I'm glad I'm here and not in Washington. He thinks playing at home may be a boost to him.
They had a great preseason game here against the Houston Oilers. He feels that it's important that they will have that type of day here against the Skins.
3rd down and 9. Monty Coleman in defensively for Washington. 3 wide receivers for the Cowboys. Pressure on Aikman, and Todd Bowles gets there first on a safety blitz. Big loss on the play.
Well, the Skins came with the blitz from Bowles and from number 31, Clarence Vaughn. Here's number 23 from the left of your screen coming in here, and he is just unblocked all the way. There's just not enough Cowboys to pick him up. And that's the first big play, and this could be another big play because the Skins feel that they can get after this punter, and they want their special teams to contribute and make a big play.
Mike Saxon will kick. Joe Howard is standing at about his own 43-yard line. There's Howard. They were coming close. It is not a good kick, however, and it's out of bounds at about the 40-yard line. Well, they didn't get a piece of it, but they had the effect on Mike Saxon, and the Redskins will have superb field position for their second possession. That was only a 26-yard kick by Mike Saxon.
Okay. Well, if it wasn't for a fine block by number 94, Randy Shannon, this might have been a block here. Watch how he has to block two men, number 87, Terry Orr, and also A.J. Johnson, and his left leg prevents Johnson from getting in and making the block on Saxon.
Redskins gained 27 yards on the exchange of punts early here in the first quarter. 1st and 10 on the Dallas 42. Gerald Riggs powers his way to the 40. Willie Broughton making the tackle on Riggs.
This really is some good power along the right side. They're running in behind Joe Jacoby, number 66. And it's just straight man-on-man blocking and letting Riggs pick a hole. Nice play there by Willie Broughton, fighting off the block and getting in Riggs' way there. But that's the type of style we'll see all day today. The Redskins like their size up front against the Cowboys' defensive line.
Two tight ends, and Ricky Sanders, the lone wide receiver in the sunshine in the lower part of your picture. 2nd down and 8. Again, it's Riggs. And Riggs breaks a couple of tackles. Penalty marker down from the defensive backfield. Riggs will have a 1st down and a gain of 14 just beyond the 25-yard line when strong safety Ray Horton makes the stop. And it'll be against the Redskins and Pat Haggerty, the referee today, and that'll nullify that 1st down.
Holding, number 21, offense.
Ernest Biner, the H-back, holding on the play.
Riggs had 3 real long runs last week against the Eagles, and all of them were the same type of play where he would get hit at the line of scrimmage, keep his legs driving, and then pop through the other side. We saw a little bit of that on that play right there.
Gerald Riggs has gained all of the rushing yards for the Washington Redskins so far this year.
Well, that's why they call it a one-back offense.
Literally. 2nd down and 11, back at the 43. And we had a clock stoppage. Concerned the marker. Now they're adjusting the clock. There's the time remaining in the first quarter. Dallas Cowboys have not gone 0-3 since that 1963 year. Ron Francis, number 38, is in as a nickel back for the Cowboys. Jeffcoat putting pressure on Rypien, and that's an incompleted pass. The Cowboys and the Redskins were chasing it just in case that was a lateral, but it was ruled incomplete from the start, and Jeffcoat put an impressive rush on Mark Rypien.
Well, he really did, and Rypien got away with one here because this was as close to being a lateral as you can have. Riggs' job was to slow Jeffcoat down, didn't do that. Forced Rypien to get rid of the ball a little early. Number 77 is Jeffcoat. He's coming on the rush on the outside, and here Riggs will step up and try to slow him down, but he just doesn't do a good enough job. Now he trips, and this ball is very close. Heads up, though, by Riggs. He got up off the ground and covered that ball. If it would have been a lateral, the Skins would still have it.
It'll be 3rd down and 11. Jimmy Johnson, a rookie from Howard University, who has good hands, is in the game for the Redskins. Rypien's pass is tipped away by Vince Albritton. Ron Francis, that is. He saved the 1st down, and it'll be 4th down.
Rypien's going to try to hit Ricky Sanders on an out route, and nice job by Francis coming from out of nowhere and getting one hand on the ball to knock it away, or this might have been a 1st down.
It is 4th down, and the Cowboy defense holds. Ralph Mosienko will punt. Kelvin Martin back deep. And a fair catch called for, and it is down by Terry Orr at the 15-yard line. So what really hurt the Redskins on that drive was that holding penalty against Ernest Biner. That kick went 28 yards. The Cowboys will start from the 15. It's been a punting battle thus far, and the Redskins and the Cowboys no score with 10:29 remaining in the first quarter. Dallas will have the ball at the 15-yard line, and another opportunity for Troy Aikman, the rookie who's shown good poise so far this season.
Well, one thing the Skins want to find out about Aikman today is they know about his strong arm, his poise, his confidence. They want to see how strong his chin is, though. And they got after him that first one on the safety blitz.
It won't be the last time. Charles Mann with pressure on Aikman, and the pass is complete. Kevin Scott close to first down yardage at the 25. Alvin Walton on the stop.
Well, Scott is flanked out to the right, and he's got man-to-man coverage from Alvin Wright, and good pressure right up the middle by Charles Mann working against Rafferty. And this is what Aikman does well. He throws well on the run, and Scott, good presence of mind, knowing where he was on the field, gets out of bounds, gets his feet in bounds first.
Scott comes out, and Broderick Sargent, the blocking fullback, is in there now on second down and less than a yard. Aikman overthrows the tight end Steve Folsom. Wilbur Marshall was covering on the play, and it'll be third and about a yard.
One thing that Aikman's going to see a lot today from the Redskins defense is a lot of changing up in the secondary. Richie Pettibone's defenses are tough for a veteran quarterback to play against because they're so well coordinated and team-oriented. Aikman has played 2 games in the NFL so far against New Orleans and Atlanta, 2 defenses that aren't as complicated as the Skins can be.
It's a learning experience. New Orleans was tough, but this is going to be tougher for him today. Third and less than a yard. Here's Herschel Walker, and he'll have the first down. Powers his way to the 29-yard line. Walker, the leading rusher for the Dallas Cowboys, has gained 95 yards so far.
Well, we talked about the fact that Gerald Riggs is a one-back offense. Well, basically we have the same type of situation for the Cowboys. Herschel has carried about 75% of the time for the Cowboys, and that's pretty smart with the talent that he has. He's going to get the ball a lot. Jimmy Johnson said he wants him to have the ball between 25 and 30 times a game, rushing and receiving.
That should suit Herschel. First and 10 on the 29 of the Cowboys. Play fake. Man is in there. And Aikman gets rid of it. No flag down.
I believe they're going to call it he was in the grasp there. Pat Harder, our referee, came up and marked him down, and I think that's a good call. Aikman again is going to have unbelievable pressure right now from Charles Mann. The Cowboys are continue trying to block him with a fullback, and Aikman gets out, and now Wilbur Marshall, that's a sack right there, grasp and control. And actually, Aikman's lucky he wasn't called for intentional grounding on that play.
He must have had a receiver nearby. In any event, Wilbur Marshall was coming off a rough game last week against Philadelphia with the sack. Second down and 15. Aikman's pass is intercepted by Alvin Walton. And he'll go in for a Washington touchdown. A 29-yard return by Alvin Walton.
The Redskins want to double Herschel Walker out of the backfield here. Watch Alvin Walton come over and pick this ball off. In and out coverage from Monty Coleman on the outside, number 51, and there's Walton just reading the quarterback's eyes. Double coverage on Walker, and this is a walk-in for Walton.
Another player who struggled last week. Chip Lohmiller converts. And it's now 7-0 in favor of the Redskins with exactly 9 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Marshall and Walton, big plays in that sequence for the Redskins. The Redskins pass coverage team came under fire after last week's game with the Eagles. Alvin Walton in the secondary, which had been troubled, and Wilbur Marshall did not play an outstanding game according to Richie Pettibone, the Washington Redskins defensive coordinator and assistant head coach, but they both figured and may have something to prove this afternoon. Bo Miller kicking off. It's going to be James Dixon for the Cowboys at the 5. And Terry Orr and company, Joe Howard also in on the tackle, stopping before he gets to the 25.
That's Aikman's 5th interception of the year. They said that, well, the other 4, 2 of them were on the Hail Mary, and another one was when the receiver fell down. Well, that pass there, that interception there, was all Aikman. He's got to read that defense. He's got to know that and anticipate that the Redskins are going to want to double Herschel Walker out of the backfield. He's a big threat.
Nonetheless, people say that Troy Aikman has tremendous confidence, and real confidence, not just cockiness, and a lot of poise for a rookie. Pitch to Broderick Sargent, and the Redskins eat him up in a hurry, and a loss. Back to the 20, Neil Olkowitz, the veteran middle linebacker, in on the stop.
I think Jimmy Johnson's going to find out that using Herschel Walker as a lead blocker is a bad deal. It's not his strong suit. That's again, he was a lead blocker on that play, and again, the Redskins come up, and that time forced a loss.
It'll be a 2-yard loss back to the 21. Jimmy Johnson has lost just as many games so far this year that he had in his last 3 years at the University of Miami. So welcome to the NFL. 2nd down and 12. Kevin Scott, number 35, in the backfield. Now split. Aikman has Michael Irvin, and Irvin is knocked out of bounds by Darrell Green, short of the 30-yard line.
In talking with Michael Irvin yesterday about his advice to Troy Aikman, Irvin, of course, was a #1 pick a year ago, and Aikman, of course, comes in with the big contract. Irvin, a very talkative young man, he said, well, you just get to know your players a little bit more. Go to the mall with them. Make sure you buy off your teammates a lot of nice things. And especially, he told me a lot of passes.
Last year, he didn't get invited to the mall very much. 3rd down and 4 at the 29. Aikman under pressure, throwing deep, intended for Alexander, and covered by A.J. Johnson. Incidental contact, no penalty there, and that will bring up 4th down.
That's really not Alexander's strong suit, going deep against one-on-one coverage. A.J. Johnson had Alexander covered like a blanket. Alexander's more the possession-type receiver, over the middle, the shorter stuff. One thing the Cowboys don't have is a lot of speed in their wide receivers.
Joe Howard goes back. Mike Saxon will boot it for the Cowboys. And they're going to fake punt. Saxon is not going to make it. Terry Orr alertly stops Saxon from getting the necessary yardage for the 1st down, and the Redskins will take over deep in Dallas territory.
This is number 47, A.J. Johnson, who had just made the play on the defense. He comes in clear and forces Saxon to take off running with this ball. He didn't get him the first time, but he's right in on this time. Bates couldn't make the block, and now the pursuit catches up with Saxon, and Terry Orr makes the play, and the Skins are in business at the 30-yard line.
Terry Orr has distinguished himself on special teams thus far.
And this is what Gibbs talked about, his special teams coming up with big plays, contributing to a victory.
They did there. 1st down, Redskins on the Cowboy 30. Rypien has Clark. And Clark very nearly got away from 3 defenders. Vince Albritton finally made the stop. Dean Hamill, former teammate of Clark's, also found him to be slippery. That's a 1st down for the Redskins inside the 15.
There's Dean Hamill, and the guy they call the Tasmanian Devil. But the fellow he's working against, Russ Grimm, he had a different nickname for him. We called him Spanky. Now we'll see who does the spanking today.
Hamill going against the Redskins. Still a shot for him. 1st down on the 14. The Redskins threaten. On the delay, Wink gets bottled up at about the 12-yard line by Everson Walls and Eugene Lockhart, the middle linebacker.
One thing people might think that with Hamill just leaving the Redskins and going to the Cowboys, he would have an advantage knowing the different offensive line calls of the Skins. But one thing the Skins will do when they trade a player, they will make sure that they change their line calls so that that player doesn't have an advantage. I asked Jimmy Johnson if he's thoroughly interrogated Dean Hamill, and he said, well, what can a defensive lineman tell you? His perspective of the game is from a three-point stance.
That's about right. Got more out of Jerry Rome, the quarterback coach. Rypien under pressure, fumbles. Jim Jeffcoat. And no flags are down. Touchdown, Cowboys. "77 yards. That matches the number on his back.
Now, this is something that has bothered Rypien throughout his career, is hanging onto the ball in the pocket when he gets contact. Ray Horton on the safety blitz. And how many times have we seen Jim Jeffcoat either pick up a deflected pass out of the air from Too Tall Jones or a fumble and run it in for a touchdown? But Jim Jeffcoat, 77 yards. And the Cowboys make the first big play.
Roger Ruzek will try to tie it up. And this capacity crowd on its feet. And the kick is good. Jim Jeffcoat, who has scored 2 touchdowns previously by pass interception, chalks up another to tie this one up at 7-all. Crowd at Texas Stadium still buzzing over Jim Jeffcoat's 77-yard rumble with a fumble after he was hit. We'll see that play after the kickoff. Joe Howard on the right. A.J. Johnson on the left will receive the kickoff for the Redskins. Roger Ruzek teeing it off. So the Cowboys will take points any way they can if they're getting shut out in the first game and getting 21 in the first half last week.
And we expected the offenses to get flying today. Well, the defenses have scored both touchdowns, so they're going to have a little bit to say. Both teams have taken a lot of flack for their poor defensive play. Well, they're turning into offensive stars today.
6:07 remaining in the first quarter. Heading over toward Joe Howard's direction on the 9. And Everson Wall with a reach tackle on the 30.
Take a look at the touchdown from the end zone. This is the Norton and Horton show. This is Ken Norton, and Ray Horton is going to come from the outside. Riggs is going to step up and block Ken Norton, and Ray Horton is going to come in and knock the quarterback. And look at this great bounce. Just a one-hopper, tailor-made.
The kind Ozzie Smith of the Cardinals has made a lot thanks to that natural turf. Redskins starting from the 31, their own 31. Rypien with a lot of time, going for Art Monk. Broken up. Ray Horton with a fine defensive play on Art Monk, and the pass was right on the numbers.
Well, they say timing is everything. This is a perfect throw from Rypien to Monk. The ball is right on his hands. Watch Horton's right hand come through there and knock it loose. Outstanding play. And he's really meant a lot to this Cowboy football team as their weak safety. He's the guy that has to coordinate that defense, and he was a Plan B acquisition from the Cincinnati Bengals, and a guy that Jimmy Johnson is really happy about.
Second down and 10. Great. And it was Willie Broughton along with Jeff Coat in on the stop. Briggs didn't get much, maybe a yard.
This is probably what Joe Gibbs must have feared most of all, because the defense making the big play when it appeared that the Skins were going to go in for either a field goal or a touchdown this last possession. And now the crowd is into this ball game, and the Cowboys are playing inspired football.
On third down and 8, Rypien is 1 for 6 for only 16 yards thus far. 6 defensive backs in there for the Cowboys. Rypien has Monk wide open. He'll have the first down. And he is tackled just short of midfield by Robert Williams. That's good for 16 yards, and the Redskins will keep possession.
Let's check out Art Monk in the slot here, and this is the guy they want to go to on third and medium ranges because he's got the experience. This is just a terrible coverage job by the Cowboys as both of them, the safeties, head out there for Ricky Sanders, and they leave Monk, of all people, wide open on the third and medium.
So it's a first down on the 48 of the Redskins. They keep 3 wide receivers. And here is Gerald Riggs. Riggs gets into Cowboy territory and picks up about 5 yards on that clip. Lockhart and Norton made the stop. And you talk about that previous play when Monk caught the pass, and of course the scouting reports will tell you that Art Monk is most dangerous on third and about 7 or 8.
Well, he's got the experience to know where he wants to go in that defense. We've got a Redskin shaking up on the field, Joe Jacoby. But getting back to Monk, I mean, he's been in the league, it seems like forever. Great awareness of where the defense is playing him. That time was very simple. He just went and turned out, and the Cowboys were nowhere near him. But he's the kind of guy that quarterback just loves to have, some guy that you can count on. You can go to the bank with Art Monk.
He is the quietest of the 3 receivers that Mark Rypien told us about yesterday. Practices the way he plays, and that's why he's lasted so long. Working on Joe Jacoby.
Okay, this is Joe Jacoby, number 66, and we'll check out just exactly what happens to him as this play comes right up the middle. He's going to just trip on this AstroTurf or maybe on Donnie Warren's right leg and go down. It's a big man going down, very little contact there.
Ed Simmons very likely will replace Jacoby. Looking at scores, the big one at Veterans Stadium, tied at 7. The Giants have jumped out ahead of Phoenix in a battle of unbeatens. Chicago over Detroit at the Silverdome. Minnesota and Pittsburgh, 7-7 in the first quarter. Houston and Buffalo, 2 teams that should be in the playoffs. New England over Seattle by a field goal, and the same story with Atlanta at Indianapolis.
Skins are fortunate to have a backup tackle like Ed Simmons.
He's a good sub. Second down and 5 at the 47 of the Cowboys. Rypien's pass is batted by you-know-who, Ed Jones. He's been doing that for this entire career, 38 years old.
Well, this is what Ed does probably better than anything else in his career at this point. Watch him come in here, get contact with Simmons, and then just stop and watch the quarterback's eyes and time it. He's 6'9". He's got huge hands. Look at how he gets up there. That right hand looked like slam dunking one there.
What did Jimmy Johnson says? He keeps his hands down in the last minute. Boom, there it goes.
Great timing. Former basketball player.
Third down and 5 at the 47. 6 defensive backs for Dallas. Rypien has an open man, Ricky Sanders, and he finds him good enough for the first down. A 17-yard pickup to the 30. Robert Williams on the stop.
Cowboys had success the last time in blitzing Rypien. This time they do it again. The problem is that the Redskins are ready for it. They have the protection. He has all time to throw, and that's just too much time for a receiver down the field to get open, and Ricky Sanders does a nice job. That's the price of being a quarterback. You got to stand in that pocket and let her rip and then take your lumps.
Redskins in a 7-7 game have a first down on the Dallas 30. Biner in motion. And finally, Rypien will call a timeout. He had 7 seconds on the play clock when he called the timeout. That's the first for the Redskins in this first half.
Whether the reason that he called that timeout was because the clock was running down, or because maybe Biner went the wrong way. Who knows?
You know, when people talk about the Redskins and how they really have an edge over the Dallas Cowboys, but when you look at the quarterbacks, Rypien, better surrounded by talent, still is finding his way in the National Football League.
I think he's really got the advantage, though, playing behind that offensive line and all the weapons that the Redskins have. When you look at the different offenses in the National Football League, a lot of defensive coaches will tell you that the toughest offense to prepare against is this Washington Redskin group because of that offensive line. Not often do you talk about leaders, and your leaders are your offense being your offensive linemen. The great two tackles, Lachey and Jacoby, you usually talk about a guy like Herschel Walker or a quarterback, but it's not that way with the Redskins. It's that offensive line.
You said Ed Simmons is a good sub, but what does it mean when a new man has to come into the mix in an offensive line?
Well, with Simmons, though, he's been around for a couple years, and 3 years now, and so he has worked with the guys up front. There shouldn't be any problem for the Redskins.
First down at the 30, and Gerald Riggs on a quick opener gets about 5 yards. Jim Jeffcoat on the stop. There's the time remaining in the first quarter, under 3 minutes to go. We're tied at 7. Alvin Walton with a 29-yard interception return for a touchdown for the Redskins. And Jim Jeffcoat picked up a fumble and went 77 yards to tie the score for the Cowboys. Second down and 5 at the 25. Don Warren now in motion. Riggs. Stop for no gain. Jim Jeffcoat having a whale of a first quarter with help from Ken Norton that time.
These teams have played each other so often that there are very few surprises in a rivalry like this. What happens in a game like this is intensity wins this game. And right now, the Cowboys are just more intense than the Redskins. The Redskins have had an advantage in field position, but they've yet to get it in the end zone offensively.
Just the first year for Jimmy Johnson's regime. And he admits he might have been a little cocky when he started. Not so much anymore.
Well, 2 losses will humble you.
Rypien has Art Monk. First down at the 15-yard line. Slant pattern, and Robert Williams on the tackle. Good for 10 yards, and that's the 3rd time the Redskins have converted on 3rd down in this drive.
Again, it's a 3rd down and medium, about 5 yards. Number 81 is Monk in motion here, and he's just going to come down and run an option route against number 23, Robert Williams. And this is a well-thrown ball. You see Norton was coming over for the help on the inside, and Rypien just squeezed it in there on time.
2 tight ends in there, and Joe Jacoby is back in the offensive line for the Redskins on first down. Gerald Riggs. And 3 or 4 Cowboys bottle him up at the 13, Ken Norton amongst them. And basically what Jimmy Johnson is looking for is an attacking defense for the Cowboys, and he may have to get different kind of personnel first.
Well, he was surprised when he took over the ball club how little speed they have on the defensive side of the ball. And to be an aggressive attacking type of defense, you got to have speed. You got to be able to get after the quarterback, and you got to cover in the defensive backfield man to man. 2 areas that are really hurting for the Cowboys now. It's going to take Johnson a while to find out the personnel he needs to implement his type of defense.
Redskins have been successful inside the 20 so far this season. On the delay, Biner, he'll get in there. Touchdown, Redskins. 12 yards, and Washington takes the lead.
The inside handoff to Ernest Biner here, and there is just nobody on the outside. The Cowboys again coming on the blitz, Johnson said he wanted to blitz more, but what happens without team speed? Good example of it here. Biner outraces Albritton for the corner of the end zone.
So Ernest Biner, who caught a touchdown pass against the Eagles, now runs for one. And he's a guy who performed both duties for the Browns, but he won't carry it that much for the Redskins. Chip Lowmiller, kick is good, and it's 14-7, not in the one-back offense.
Watch the blitzing right now. Right up in here, and Biner's going to outrace everybody to the outside here. It looked like a draw play, but all it is the counter gap. The Redskins run it better than anybody. And Biner may carry the ball more often with that type of result.
Great exhibition of ball control, and they took advantage.
And you know, Gerald Bridge is playing this ball game with the sore left shoulder, so it's not inconceivable that we don't see Ernest Biner in the backfield. Was that enough negatives for you there? Double negatives and triple negatives? I think we may see Biner playing at the single backfield.
Well, you know what they say about double negatives? They become a positive.
If you add enough of them, yeah.
Working on Joe Jacoby over on the Redskin bench. He came back in the lineup on that touchdown play. Chip Lowmiller will kick off for the Redskins with 23 seconds remaining in the first quarter. James Dixon on the left, Darryl Slack on the right, ready to receive for Dallas. It's Dixon in the end zone. Vaughn hit him and slowed him up, and he's down at the 26-yard line. There is the scoring drive, 3 for 3 on third down conversions for the Redskins, and they have held the ball for over 10 minutes of this first quarter.
And that's what really killed the Cowboys last week against Atlanta in the second half when they didn't score any points. They didn't have the ball that often. In fact, they are the worst team in the league as far as time of possession is concerned.
Troy Aikman on first down, try to get the Cowboys back in this game. Has time, and Herschel Walker couldn't hold on. That was interception city right there with the ball bouncing in the air. Neil Olkowitz provided the hit with Brian Davis.
One thing a young quarterback's got to learn is how to touch the ball into the receiver. That time Aikman threw a 98-mile-an-hour fastball to Walker that he couldn't get his hands on, or went right through his hands. Difficult catch coming back over the middle for anybody, let alone a running back out of the backfield.
6 seconds remain in the first quarter. It'll be second down and 10 for the Cowboys. They're on their own 27-yard line. Walker. Charles Mann grabs hold, and Walker is stopped at the 30 as time runs out. And that is the end of the first quarter here at Texas Stadium with the score. The Redskins 14 and the Cowboys 7. We're at Texas Stadium, the first time they've been sold out here since the Redskins' last visit a year ago. Dick Stockton and Dan Fouts. The renewal of the Redskin-Cowboy rivalry, some new faces, new stories, but it really never changes. The Redskins lead 14-7, and it'll be third down and 7 for the Cowboys on their own 30-yard line. And believe it or not, this is their deepest penetration. Scored on a fumble recovery by Jim Jeffcoat. 3 wide receivers. Ray Alexander, number 87, is the third. You see the nickel backs in there for the Redskins. Aikman nearly picked off. Brian Davis had it in his hands and out. Michael Irvin was the intended receiver, but not a well-thrown pass.
Well, this hits Davis between the 3 and the 4. He has as close a coverage on a receiver as you can possibly get. Aikman getting rid of this ball, feeling the heat from the pass rush, and watch this ball. I think it had to surprise Davis. fact, he was too close to the receiver. The receiver, Irvin, there may have got a hand on the ball.
So it's 4th down, and Saxon will be kicking to Joe Howard. Half of this field is bathed in sunlight. Shadows put through troublesome. Saxon kicking from the 15. Gets off of Beauty. Howard with a fair catch. At the 19-yard line, a 52-yard kick by Saxon. And Dallas will go on offense again. Or Washington, I should say. Joe Jacoby is all right. He was out, shaken up for one play, but he's in there.
Oh, you saw that knee brace he was wearing. All he needed was a little WD-40 or whatever it's called, that little oil stuff to get it loosened up.
Is that like from the Wizard of Oz?
Well, I wouldn't call him a tin man. That's a lot of flesh in that 300 pounds.
First down on the 19. Here's Gerald Riggs. Lockhart is the first to get him, and Riggs is stopped at the 25-yard line. Riggs has gained 26 yards so far on 9 carries. And that touchdown by Biner was his first carry of the season. It's been really Riggs' show in the first 2.5 games for the Redskins.
It's going to be interesting to see how long that shoulder, that right shoulder of his, holds up. He has a lot of blood in it and very painful, and he is a power runner. He needs his shoulders to make yardage.
Tony Tolbert, who's a rookie from Texas El Paso, number 62, not big, but is playing a defensive end position on 2nd and 4. Riggs trying to find room, doesn't. No gain on the play. Tolbert was there along with Norton. It'll be 3rd down and 4 for the Redskins.
Must have had a safety in that Philadelphia-San Francisco game there. 9-7, Eagles on top. It's interesting when you get into a rivalry type of game how you have the unusual plays. Already today we've had 2 unusual plays where the defense has scored touchdowns.
Look at that stack on the right side. 3 wide receivers, something new for the Redskins on 3rd and 4. And Art Monk gets away from the defender. And finally brought down. He broke Everson Wall's tackle, and Art Monk with a 40-yard gain. And the Redskins are in business again at the 35-yard line of Dallas.
They call these guys the posse. 3 wide receivers, probably the best trio in the entire league. But again, it's 3rd and short or 3rd and medium, and they're going to go to their 3rd and medium guy, and that's Art Monk. That's 2 missed tackles today for Everson Walls. And Monk is looking like that fullback that used to play at Syracuse right there. Open field runner.
One of many they had.
That's what I heard.
Already 3 catches for Art Monk. Vince Albritton made the stop. And it'll be a 1st down. They're adjusting the clock once again. It was the 30-second clock that was out of whack, and now they fixed it up. On the left, starts to run. Jamie Morris. Now in the backfield for the Redskins. Morris gets the call. Down to the 30-yard line. A gain of about 5. Making the tackle, Randy Shannon.
Joe Gibbs told us yesterday, who's going to go in there instead of Riggs if his shoulder doesn't hold up? And he said, well, we're going to go from the biggest to the little. We're going to go from Gerald Riggs, one of the bigger running backs in the league, to little Jamie Morris, but Morris did a nice job of picking up 6 there.
And I guess if the offensive line blocks up front, it doesn't matter who they have back there.
That's the key.
Double tight end on 2nd and 4 at the Cowboy 29. Rypien. He's got some room. Penalty marker down, and Rypien slides at the 20. It'll be enough for a 1st down by plenty. Tolbert put the seal on him, but the penalty marker is down. Basically, it's been a penalty-free game thus far.
Yeah, this is going to be defensive holding in the secondary against the Cowboys. This will bring up a 1st down, but Rypien had a nice gain on the run anyway, so.
Holding, 94, defense.
That was Randy Shannon, the strong side linebacker. Shannon is starting in place of Ron Burton, who they moved to middle linebacker, backing up Eugene Lockhart. So this is Shannon's first start of the season. Joe Gibbs, 0-2 5 years ago, and the Redskins ended up winning the NFC Eastern title. He says it's better to have 14 games left than only 2. He's got plenty of time. First down on the 15 of the Cowboys. Morris inside the 15, and Ed Jones is there. How'd you like to be wrapped up by Ed Jones if you're Morris?
Well, he might get swallowed there. I know I couldn't see him down there. You know, Jamie Morris is the type of guy that every year it seems like he's going to have difficulty making the football team. There are other guys that come in during training camp that are bigger and faster, but Jamie Morris was close to getting cut this year, but he just kept making the plays. Consistent type of ball player, and here he is.
Second down and 9 on the 14. And Morris fights his way down to the 10. That'll bring up a third down and about 5. Eugene Lockhart on the stop, and the Redskins promised that we would see a whole bag of tricks offensively, and they haven't disappointed thus far.
Well, they really are throwing it all at the Cowboys. The Cowboys are familiar with the Redskins. Not only have they played them twice a year forever, Jerry Rome is now the offensive quarterback coach for the Cowboys, so he can tell the Cowboy defensive staff what the Skins are doing, and the Skins are going to try and reinforce that today by showing Dallas a lot of different formations and a lot of different plays.
Redskins have converted their last 4 third-down attempts. Rypien going for Clark, and it's incomplete. Williams covering on the play.
This is Robert Williams working against Gary Clark man-to-man here, and Clark is going to run a corner pattern. And Rypien might have thrown this ball a little bit sooner because there's separation there, but Williams shows good makeup speed there and made a very difficult catch for Gary Clark.
Chip Lohmiller will try a 27-yarder. He is 2 for 3 thus far this season. Washington, the punter, will hold. The kick is good, and the Redskins add to their lead. 9:51 remaining in the second quarter, and now it's the Redskins 17 and the Cowboys 7. It's been a Washington Redskin game so far. 149 yards to only 10 for the Cowboys. Look at the time of possession, about 10 minutes, and the only bright spot so far for the Cowboys was Jeffcoat's 77-yard fumble return for a touchdown. So it's 17-7, 9:51 to go in the second quarter, and other than that one play, the Redskins have to be pleased. And you mentioned at the top special teams being a factor.
Well, they have been a factor. They tackled Saxon when he tried to punt, but also the turnover where Walton plays a smart defense on the play, comes over and picks off the pass that was intended for Walker. And offensively, the Skins are doing everything they wanted to. They're converting on third down, and they're moving the ball. Time of possession, 15 minutes to 5. That's unbelievable.
Headed over for James Dixon on Lohmiller's pick. Dixon at the 2. And a fine return down the sideline. Let's see where he went out of bounds. They'll mark it at the 34-yard line. Greg Minuski on the stop. So the Cowboys, Jimmy Johnson going with the rookie Troy Aikman. And what is your assessment of Troy thus far?
Well, he's off to a rough start. They're just 2 out of 7 for just 17 yards and, of course, that 1 interception. But coming into this ballgame, we talked about how difficult it is for any quarterback facing this team. And really, when you look at the weapons on the Cowboys side of the ball, you look at number 34, and right now, Walker's off to a slow start also. 3 carries for just 10 yards.
The team may be only 3 carries. Lockett at the 33, first down Cowboys. Aikman Trying to make a very tough catch was the tight end, Steve Folsom, to bring up second down.
Now, sometimes you see a quarterback short arm a ball, but that time Aikman had number 77, Darrell Grant, right in his face, and if he long-armed it, he might have broken a finger or something on his helmet. Well, this is a real test for a quarterback. He is a little shaky back there in the pocket. Doesn't really have his rhythm yet, and he's missing receivers that are open. Folsom was open in the flat that time.
And the Redskins, of course, making that possible with changing up their look and blitzing almost every play. Second down, and Aikman is sacked. Charles Maine. And that will be the third sack of the game by the Redskins.
Man's been very active today. Almost came close to blocking a punt. Here he is on the right side of the screen, and he just beats Kevin Gogan from the get-go, and that's Man's third sack of the year.
So the Redskins with 3 sacks, one by a defensive lineman, another by a linebacker, another by a defensive back. Everyone's getting into the act. A loss of 8 on the play, bringing up third down and 18 back to the Cowboy 25. 4 wide receivers. Herschel Walker on a middle screen, and Walker won't get first down yardage as he is brought down just shy of the 40-yard line by Clarence Vaughn. The gain of 14, but they got out of real danger, and now Saxton will have some margin of error now as he comes in to kick.
That's really the key there, is that play did not pick up the first down, but it sure gave Saxton some breathing room.
He'll be kicking from about the 25. Joe Howard goes deep for the Redskins. By the way, that was the first catch of the day for Herschel Walker. A.J. Johnson trying to come in and get a piece of that, and a fair catch called for by Howard. Another superb kick by Saxton. That went 47 yards. He took a care of business for the Cowboys there, and we'll be back after this. Redskins lead the Cowboys 17-7 with 8:13 remaining in the second quarter. Gerald Riggs has apparently aggravated that chest or pectoral muscle. He is out of action. They say he will return. Meanwhile, he'll sit this series out at this point. First down. On the 15, Jamie Morris, the running back. Rypien has Monk open. Fine catch by Art Monk. And Everson Walls brings him down close to the 40-yard line. A gain of 25, and he was wide open that time.
You'd have to think that the Cowboys are more concerned with Sanders and Gary Clark, because they're leaving Art Monk, as you said, Dick, wide open. There's nobody within 30 yards of him when he grabs this ball, and this is a nice grab. He's having a career half right now.
It's almost as if the Cowboys are playing with 10 men. That's the fourth catch. Nearly 100 yards already for Art Monk. Jamie Morris on first down. Ridden out of bounds, but not before he picks up 6 yards. It was Robert Williams who chased Morris.
The left side of the Redskins offensive line that time really pushed the Cowboy line back. When Morris got that ball, before any Cowboy even got close to him, he had 4 yards. Lachey and and Russ Grimm on that left side did an outstanding job, along with Donnie Warren.
Lachey, of course, an addition last year. Came over from first San Diego, then the Raiders. Second down and 5. That's a 45. Redskins. Let's see what they'll rule, and it's an incomplete pass at midfield, and Robert Williams put a crunching hit that time on Gary Clark, who's still feeling it.
That is a question as to whether this was a catch or not. The referees are talking about it, but this is a good hit from Robert Williams on Gary Clark. The quarterback doesn't want to throw this ball high, because this is what a receiver hates, is to get hit with his feet off the ground in the middle of the back. They are calling it an incomplete pass, and that's a good call.
So it now will be 3rd down and 5. 4 wide receivers, including Joe Howard in there. The 30-second clock has expired, and now Don Bro, who flashes in the signals for the Redskins, runs onto the field to protest this.
Do you think we should? Do you think?
I think
I think they should. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but they should.
The problem is that the referees started the 30-second clock when they were trying to figure out whether that was a completed pass or incomplete pass, and that's what Haggerty's talking to his crew about, this herd of zebras here.
They have had trouble with that 30-second clock throughout this first half.
There's no charge timeout. We'll reset the clock to 30 seconds.
That's a good call because they were discussing whether that was a completed pass or not, and the 30-second clock was running down. Rypien breaks the huddle. He looks up at the clock, and he's got 2 seconds left. Had nothing else to do but call timeout. That's a good job by the Pat Haggerty and his crew.
Redskins have already used 1 timeout in this first half. 7:21 remaining. Now the 30-second clock in motion, and there the 3 wide receivers again in a stack. The posse. Rypien fires it away. Nearly intercepted by Everson Walls. Gary Clark was the intended receiver, and Walls nearly picked that one off.
Here again is the posse, Monk, Sanders, and Clark. And this is just a bad decision by Rypien. People feel that, you know, this is only his 9th start in the league, that he shouldn't make these mistakes, but he does have inexperience, and he got away with one there. Everson Walls should have had that ball for the interception.
Kelvin Martin back for the Cowboys. Ralph Moschienko coming and nearly blocked by Hendrick. Martin out to the 23-yard line. Greg Minuski on the stop. A 44-yard kick. And Manny Hendricks nearly had that kick blocked for the Cowboys. There's the story here at Texas Stadium. The Redskins lead 17-7 in the second quarter. Dick Stockton and Dan Fouts, and the Redskins have had the ball for nearly 10 minutes more than the Cowboys in this first half. First down and 10 on the 23 for Dallas. 3-man front for the Redskins, 4 linebackers. Aikman on first down, goes up top for Irvin. And Michael Irvin with the biggest play of the game for the Cowboys. 36 yards, gets into Redskin territory. Bowles on the stop.
We're going to take a look at Aikman hanging in the pocket and delivering a great pass. His best pass of the day so far, but he really gets kissed at the end of it. And Irvin, with a double move there on Brian Davis, gets free. And nice job by Bowles coming over. But watch the lick that Aikman takes right in the chin from Marcus Cook. He never saw that ball complete.
Only the second first down of the game for the Cowboys. They're on the Washington 41. Aikman's pass. He was going for Scott out of the backfield. Led him a little bit too much, and will bring up second down.
This is a quarterback-oriented offense. Jimmy Johnson wants his quarterback to be in control. The problem is this fella here, Troy Aikman, this is just his 3rd NFL game. Johnson won't probably feel as comfortable with Troy in total control until maybe next year or maybe even the year after, when Johnson gets the type of personnel he wants on this football team. He needs more speed in his wide receivers.
4 for 11 for 67 yards and 1 interception, which resulted in a touchdown. Aikman up the middle. And it was Folsom who was wide open. And again, you talked about having the touch on those short passes.
Yeah, and this man knows it too. The quarterback is usually the first guy to know when he's thrown a bad ball, and then the 60,000 in the stands let him know about it. But this would have been a big play. Folsom, I doubt, would have scored a touchdown, but he might have taken the ball inside the 20. Aikman just fired a rocket that he couldn't make the grab on.
Troy has completed only 1 of his last 8 attempts. That one was a big one to Michael Irvin, 36 yards. That'll bring up 3rd down and 10 on the Washington 41. 6:52 remaining in the first half. 17-7 the Redskins lead. Chase Aikman, who has to get rid of it. It'll be 4th down, and once again, they can't keep the Redskins defense out of the Dallas backfield.
And once again, it was a blitz that put the pressure on Aikman. Todd Bowles and Alvin Walton came again. Actually, Clarence Vaughn, and they put great pressure along with Charles Mann, as if man isn't enough to rattle a young quarterback. The Redskins are bringing safeties at him.
He may be rattled as Saxon gets set to kick, but he seems to have that poise, and he doesn't change his expression too often, no matter what's going on.
Very few flaws in his game that I've been able to detect.
Howard is back for the Redskins. Redskins peel back to block. That kick sails into the end zone for a touchback. Well, NFL action continues next Sunday on CBS, starting with the NFL Today at 12:30 Eastern. Doubleheader action. What about this one? The Redskins never get a breather. They'll go against the New Orleans Saints. Most of you will see that game. Then in the late contest, the Rams and the 49ers. For supremacy in the West and the NFC, the Rams look tough. 49ers the defending champs. And some of you will see the Giants and the Dallas Cowboys right here at Texas Stadium. That's NFL action next Sunday starting at 12:30 Eastern with the NFL Today here on CBS Sports. 1st and 10 on the 20 for the Redskins. 2 tight ends. Jamie Morris tries to break one and does to the 30. He may have a 1st down before Ron Burton makes the tackle.
The Redskins have a decided weight advantage and size advantage up front in this ball game. When you add that to the fact they've had the ball for more than 10 minutes, more than the Cowboys have had it, the Cowboy defense, it appears, is starting to wear down.
Kind of early for them to wear down, and they know that they're 1 score away from getting back into this game. And a long drive here by the Redskins could really do some damage to the Cowboys. Here's Morris again. He gets out to the 35-yard line. Running nicely. Keep in mind, Gerald Briggs on the sideline with a bruised chest muscle, and so Morris has to be the key ball carrier.
Well, sometimes it's an advantage to being only 5'7" that time. He ducked an arm tackle from Ed Jones that time and picked up 5 extra yards.
Philadelphia got a safety against the 49ers, leading 12-7. The Giants 17-0 over Phoenix. And the rest. 1st down. Morris gets a couple that time. Basically, a lot of motion by the Redskins. And, of course, Jerry Rome was able to at least give some advice to the Dallas defense with all of what the Redskins do.
Well, the Redskins give you a lot of problems because they run a lot of formations, a lot of motion. They run the same type of plays from all the different formations and everything. But the problem is in the recognition of the defense. It takes them that much longer to find out what's coming to them.
Tampa Bay leading New Orleans. Buccaneers are improved. And Morris is stopped cold by Randy Shannon. Good play by Shannon will bring up 3rd and long now for the Redskins.
The advantage that Randy Shannon has is that he played for Jimmy Johnson at the University of Miami. He's one of the guys that Johnson brought in during training camp to really help with the coaching of the system. He's comfortable in the system, played in it for 3 or 4 years down there at the University of Miami, and he really helped out. He even helped himself out in the starting lineup now.
6 defensive backs now for the Cowboys on 3rd and 7. Rypien up the middle. Gary Clark holds on and makes a terrific catch. Between 2 defenders, Williams and Horton make the stop, and 24 yards to Gary Clark.
They call Gary Clark the toughest receiver in the league at 5'9" and only 170 pounds. This is an example of it. He's working in the slot against Ray Horton, man-to-man coverage. But the problem comes from the offside. This is Robert Williams, number 23 there, and he almost caused Clark to drop that ball, but great concentration and a fine throw by Rypien. Really zipped it in there to him.
You won't find 3 better receivers on any team than Monk, Clark, and Sanders. That time, Clark. 1st down on the 38 of the Cowboys. Nearly picked off by Walls as that pass was thrown just a smidgen behind Sanders.
Everson Walls has had a tough day so far. This could have been his second interception of the day, number 24. You talk about cagey defensive backs. This probably is the cagiest of all of them. Comes off his coverage on Monk, reads the in break from Ricky Sanders, and makes the break on the ball, except he forgot to catch it.
6 of the 7 completions by Mark Rypien in this game have been for over 15 yards. He's had the big play going for him thus far. Rypien has Sanders hit immediately at the 34-yard line. That will bring up 3rd down and about 5. Stop made by Eugene Lockhart, the middle linebacker.
And I'm not quite sure who Rypien's going to stand up for dinner this week. But being an ex-quarterback and having lost my share of heartbreakers, probably none like he suffered last week, it's very understandable why he didn't quite want to make the PR move and go to dinner with the vice president last Sunday.
I think his wife was sorry they missed it, though.
Oh, you bet.
3rd down and 6. Rypien, Sanders, and overthrown. Coverage downfield by Ray Horton. And that will bring up 4th down. And the Redskins will kick. Ralph Moshienko will boot it away with 2 minutes and 32 seconds to go in the first half. Basically, the problem for the Cowboys has been a lack of an offense.
And you wonder if this is not within range for Lowmiller, but the Skins have decided to go for the punt instead of the field goal.
Melvin Martin standing at the 10. Runs down, and we'll have a delay of the game called. With time, of course, did not move off the regular clock, and so the question is, does Moshienko feel he'll have a better chance 5 yards back for an angle kick?
Yeah, that was a purposeful penalty there. Mojo has Mojo, as we called him in San Diego, because we weren't as glib as you are, Dick, with Moses Zinchenko or whatever.
You pronounced it right yesterday at the meeting.
Yeah, well, Mojo is a good pooch punter. He's really worked on it this year. He's got 3 of his 6 punts so far this year have been downed inside the 20 with no touchback, so that's what they're looking for here.
Chalk up another one for Moshienko, and that one is down at about the 15-yard line by Terry Orr. A 24-yard kick, but that number may not look impressive, but he got the job done inside the 20.
Well, it's net, which is the statistic that all special teams coaches and punters look at. That may have only been a 24-yarder, but if it goes into the end zone, they bring it out to the 20 instead of the 14, so then the net would have been only 18 yards. That's why that was a good punt, although it was only 24 yards.
Redskins needed a punter. They had Greg Horn and Richard Tootin throughout camp trying to win a job, and no one could win it. So they went out and got Moshienko from San Diego, and he's performed well.
They have a way of going to San Diego for personnel, don't they?
Don't they? Yeah. Clock running down to 2 seconds on first down. Herschel Walker fights his way out to about the 16-yard line, gets a couple, and it was Neil Olkowitz making the tackle for the Redskins, and we're winding down to the 2-minute mark.
Well, if the Cowboys have got any chance of winning this football game, they got to get this guy going. Herschel Walker is their star football player so far, and he has got to be the guy to get them back in this game.
He's only carried the ball 4 times. That's not enough. 2-minute warning is here, and we'll return. We have 2 minutes remaining in the first half here at Texas Stadium. A sellout to Jimmy Johnson. Jerry Jones begin their regime here in Dallas. Look at that. In this quarter alone, 50-1 in rushing yards and favoring the Redskins.
And that is without Gerald Riggs, a guy who's averaging 6.5 yards per carry.
Telling me the offensive line may mean something here.
They are the leaders. They get the job done.
2nd down and 9 for the Cowboys. Out of the shotgun, Aikman completes the pass to Scott out of the backfield. Short of a first down by a couple. Tackle made by Kurt Gouveia. It'll be 3rd and 2. Hurry up offense now for Dallas. Aikman running for the first down, and he'll make it as he crosses the 25. He showed against Atlanta last week that just when his receivers are covered, he'll be able to scamper for yards.
Well, he does have that ability. He ran a long way, though, that time just to get out of bounds. Had a nice crackback block by Kelvin Martin on Monty Coleman. But if he would have taken it up the field, he would have had the first down and more yardage, but he would have had to burn a timeout there. By stepping out of bounds, he saves the Cowboys a timeout. They have 3 left.
1:32 remaining. Only the 3rd first down of the game by the Cowboys. Their lone touchdown came on a 77-yard fumble recovery run by Jim Jeffcoat. 17-7 Washington. Here comes Manley, and Aikman gets rid of it. And Kelvin Martin had to prevent Darrell Green from picking that one off. And tremendous pass rush, the first we've seen from Manley all afternoon.
One of the hardest things for a quarterback to learn in the NFL is how to throw the ball away. When you're feeling pressure, you're a competitor, or you wouldn't be a quarterback in the NFL. You wouldn't be a first-round draft pick like Troy Aikman, and you think you can complete every pass. Sometimes you're your own worst enemy in trying to do that. So far today, we've seen Aikman under pressure throw a couple balls that should have been intercepted, and one that was for a touchdown.
You're looking at the play clock on the left and the game clock on the right. 2nd down and 10. And the pass incomplete. Scott, the intended receiver. Clarence Vaughn was defending, but Monty Coleman was coming in unmolested and forced Aikman to get rid of it in a hurry.
One thing Aikman's got to be careful now with his 3rd and 10 coming up is throwing a pass that might be intercepted, but also if it's incomplete, that'll bring up a punt, and the Redskins will have about a minute to go down and add to their score.
Aikman threw an interception early in the game, right in the hands of Alvin Walton, right about where he is now, and Walton ran it in 29 yards to give the Redskins a 7-0 lead. Jeffcoat's fumble recovery for a score electrified the crowd, but since then it's been all Washington. Biner ran for 12, and Lohmiller kicked a field goal. Now it's 3rd down, and they're getting down low on the clock. Aikman going deep for Kelvin Martin, and the pass is intercepted by Bowles, I believe. Todd Bowles picks it off for the Redskins. You can say it's as good as a punt.
You can say it's as good as a punt, but as a quarterback, you hate to throw an interception at any time. Aikman is throwing this ball into nothing but trouble. There are 3 Redskins that had a shot at this one and only 1 Cowboy. And Bowles is right there playing center field as he should. Kelvin Martin didn't have any choice but to just make the tackle. And now the Redskins have 2 timeouts to go down and get some more points.
So Troy Aikman playing the toughest team he has played thus far, although some will present an argument with the New Orleans Saints as their first game opponent. Todd Bowles, who has a sack and an interception for the Redskins this afternoon. So the safeties have played big. First down on the 30. Here's Biner. Penalty marker down, and Biner stops the clock by going out of bounds at the 37. 1:08 showing on the clock, and the flag will be explained by Pat Haggerty. Motion call against the Redskins. And on the sidelines now, or on the field, is Ken Norton, who is shaken up. Weak side linebacker.
Illegal motion, 2 men in motion, offense, still first down.
Well, We'll see how Ken Norton got injured here. He's number 51, and it appears that this is Big Joe Jacoby here that's going to roll up onto his legs there and cause some type of injury. But Norton is very important to this Cowboy football team. Jimmy Johnson, the head coach, changed his position from a strong side linebacker to weak side in the training camp, saying that, Ken, you just have too much natural ability. You're too good of an athlete not to be a star on this football team. So far this year, he's played very well.
Ken Norton Jr., they don't call him Junior anymore, Dan.
Well, he's got some good genes there. His daddy was a great boxer, heavyweight champion of the world, and Ken Norton Jr. is very close to his dad. His dad comes to a number of ball games. He's been a real inspiration to him.
Cowboys call a timeout because of that injury in the last 2 minutes, so they have 2 timeouts remaining. You saw Tampa Bay leading New Orleans 10-7, and you wonder when people are going to start to believe in the Buccaneers, who really gave the 49ers all they could handle last week.
And on the other hand, what happened to the huge lead that New Orleans Saints had up there in Green Bay against the Packers?
Right.
Maybe some problems on the Bayou.
That's where the Redskins will be next week. First down and 15 on the 25-yard line. On the delay, Biner. Great running ability by Ernest Biner, and he gets the first down. Vince Albritton on the tackle, 15 yards for Biner, who scored a touchdown on the ground today.
The counter tray there really helped Biner out there. Fine job of picking his spots there behind Lachey and Grimm.
On the Redskin 40, pass is complete. Sanders, and he's just shy of midfield and a yard short of a first down. Manny Hendricks on the tackle, and with 36 seconds remaining, timeout is called by the Washington Redskins.
The new Cowboys cheerleaders will produce on sale today standing in concession stands.
Interesting that Jimmy Johnson and his coaches were talking to Shannon, the former Miami Hurricane, getting set to defend against the Redskins here on 2nd and 1.
The Skins have so many weapons. I'm not sure that a coach within 35, 40 seconds can give enough information to a defensive ball club to make much of a difference here.
Redskins are on their own 49-yard line. 36 seconds remaining in the first half. They have 1 timeout remaining. Rypien and Biner can't hold on to it. The pass is incomplete. Randy Shannon was defending Biner out of the backfield. There are 4 former Miami Hurricanes on the Dallas Cowboys squad, including quarterback Steve Walsh, who made some noise this week about wanting to be traded, which we'll get into. It won't happen. Sprained left knee for Ken Norton. They're going to look at it at the half. 3rd and 1. And this pass is caught good enough for the first down. And it's Ricky Sanders making the tackle with Manny Hendricks. So now the hurry-up continues.
Well, Rypien is trying to save that last timeout for a possible field goal.
You got a way to go, and that's the way to stop the clock. And that will do it with 13 seconds to go, and 2nd down coming up.
Lohmiller's range, he told me before the game, is about 55 yards. For the Redskins to kick a ball less than that, they'd have to gain at least 8 more yards on this next play because they don't have time to run 2 plays with just 13 seconds to go. And there you see, that's a jogging shoe on Chip Lohmiller's right foot. It's almost like a slipper. He's got absolutely no cleats on the bottom of it. He feels that this helps him elevate the ball.
I told him we got out of bed today, we put one of those slippers on.
You did, not me.
2nd down and 10 at the 46. Rypien in traffic. Off the hands of Gary Clark. That'll bring up 3rd down with 8 seconds to go. Lohmiller's career-long field goal was 46 yards. So the Redskins will have to go some and quickly call a timeout as the ball is sitting on the 46-yard line of the Cowboys.
But he has a history of kicking well off of AstroTurf, and this field here is a kicker's dream. There's no wind to speak of at all down there, and he thinks that 55 is what he needs.
Rypien, just beyond the outstretched reach of Gary Clark. It'll be 4th down and out of range for Chip Lohmiller.
Decision time, though, for Gibbs, whether he'll let Lohmiller try one from here. It would be a 60-plus shot here. Maybe we have a chance to maybe beat Tom Dempsey's record here.
Of course, you also risk a block possibility, and that could be big damage to the Redskins.
Yeah, we'll probably see the Hail Mary pass here that the Rams scored on in the first week of the season. Odds are very, very slim against it, though. I've thrown a number of interceptions in this case. I hate this play.
Of course, you can also get an interference call and get another play out of it. 4 wide receivers, 3 to the right. Here it comes in the final play of this half, out of bounds, and that will do things for the first 30 minutes of the game. The Redskins have dominated with strong defense. That is the end of the first half. The Redskins 17 and the Cowboys 7. Dallas Cowboys by a score of 17-7. And of course, a lot of the players who did not have good games last week for the Redskins, like Bowles and Walton and Marshall, have already made their mark. But Aikman has been under fire with a tough defensive reading by the Redskins.
Yeah, the Aikman is looking very rattled, which is unusual for him. Everything we've heard about is how poised and confident he is. But this is a tough defense. They're a veteran group. They give you a lot of different looks. And right now, Aikman's not getting a whole lot of help. Herschel Walker's been a non-factor in this first half. Time of possession's been all in the favor of the Redskins.
All right, let's take a look at some halftime statistics, which, of course, is, not surprisingly, would favor the Redskins. They have the big edge in rushing yards and passing yards. And when you see 63 total yards, some of that is the defense, and the other is the problem that the Cowboys have had, lack of offense. And, of course, what do they do in the second half now?
Well, I think they really got to get some way of getting Herschel Walker untracked. I believe, though, that the confusing, blitzing defenses of the Redskins are giving not only the quarterback Aikman trouble, but the offensive line of the Cowboys problems. They have not opened any holes for Herschel to run through yet.
Well, it's 17-7, and the Cowboys may be one score away from making this a game. And CBS Sports coverage of NFL football will continue after this message and a word from your local station. Washington Redskins lead the Dallas Cowboys 17-7. Jimmy Johnson's first Cowboy-Redskin game. And last year, the team split with the Redskins winning here at Texas Stadium and the Cowboys winning at RFK Stadium. And that victory was their last regular season triumph and their last win under Tom Landry. And I would think when they announced Jimmy Johnson today, most of the fans cheered. There was a smattering of boos, but I think they're behind this guy.
Yeah, and I don't think it really matters whether they boo him or not. It doesn't bother Jimmy Johnson at all. He's got the main guy in his corner, and that's Jerry Jones.
That's snuff. The Cowboys will get the ball first as we start the second half. Lohmiller will be kicking off. Robert Williams has a strained knee and will not be back. So the cornerback, who the Redskins wanted to work on and has made some fine plays, Robert Williams will not be back. And Ken Norton, who was shaken up toward the end of the first half, will be wearing a brace. Meanwhile, that is Steve Walsh, who was picked in the supplemental draft out of the University of Miami, and the guy who quarterbacked for Jimmy Johnson the last few years. Kick is underway in the second half. James Dixon at the goal line, bringing it out. Dixon with a nice return, brings it out beyond the 30-yard line.
James Dixon.
Tackle is made by Reggie Graham. It'll be Troy Aikman, but Walsh getting a little work just in case.
Well, you notice that somebody threw him not only the football as he's warming up on the sidelines, but he threw him a baseball cap. That's not a good sign for a quarterback.
No.
That means he's just put on his baseball cap on the sidelines. That means he'll be watching the second half.
Thornton Chandler is starting the second half at tight end. Folsom played the first half for the Cowboys. Chandler's number 89. Strong side to the left. The pitch to Herschel Walker. Backs his way for about 2 or 3 yards. Stop made by Darrell Grant. There's Babe Laufenberg, former Redskin, inactive today.
Well, and you want to be a third-string quarterback on an NFL football team, you got to do a lot of things. Part of the disappointment that Babe has faced today was that he was told 10 minutes before the teams went out for pregame warmups that he was one of the inactives. He said it was a tremendous letdown for him, but he may be saving something for when the Cowboys go to D.C. to play at RFK.
There's always another time. 2nd down and 7 on the 34 of the Cowboys. On the delay, here is Walker again. He'll be about 5 or 4 yards shy of a first down. Raven Caldwell making the tackle. Caldwell starting in place of Coleman today. Better run defender than Ronnie. And Herschel Walker, who complained in the opening game of the season that he didn't get the ball much, actually carried only 8 times in the opener. Did a little better last week.
Well, this is only his 6th carry of the day so far today. The problem, as we said, is that the offensive line isn't giving him any lanes to run through. But I believe if they keep pounding the Redskins' defensive line with Walker up the middle, they'll get somewhere.
Kevin Scott in the backfield and Ray Alexander, a 3rd wide receiver. Scott lining up as a receiver on 3rd and 3. Aikman chased by Manley. And the ball is caught by Irvin, and that'll be a first down on a fine comeback pattern run by Michael Irvin, 10 yards, and Irvin gets up limping.
This is a fabulous throw by Aikman. He gets pressure from Dexter Manley, number 72, on the left side. Instead of stepping up into the pocket, he's going to run out of it. But that is all arm strength. His momentum was carrying him away from the receiver and still had enough strength to complete that pass.
And shaken up, it looks like the ankle for Michael Irvin right now. He has caught 3 passes today for 54 yards. One of them was a 36-yard catch.
And he had a tremendous game against the Skins last year when he caught 3 touchdown passes in that victory at RFK.
But this is bad news as Irvin has to leave the field. The Cowboys have already lost Cornell Burbage, who is placed on injured reserve, and they are very thin in a department that, frankly, Jimmy Johnson cannot afford to be thin in.
Well, we talked with Jerry Rome, the quarterback coach, about his wide receivers and who would you like to see in a certain matchup. And he said, well, to tell you the truth, most of our matchup guys with all the speed didn't make the football team. They weren't good enough to make the team. They brought Ray Alexander back this week because the Cowboy receivers had been dropping a lot of passes, in particular Cornell Burbage. But this injury to Irvin really puts the Cowboys in a hole personnel-wise.
Scott Ankrum, a 12th-round pick from TCU, number 81, replaces him. First down on the Cowboy 48. Pass intended for Ankrum. It's incomplete. Covering on the play was Brian Davis. Well, one good news item for the Cowboys. They were penalized only once for 5 yards in the first half. They had been heavily penalized in the first 2 games. Here's an upset young guy.
Yeah, he's a up-tempo type of fella. He lets his emotions be seen by everyone, and he's very disappointed with his injury. He knows he had a good game against the Skins last year, and he wanted to have another one this year.
2nd down and 10. First possession of the second half. Herschel Walker hit immediately, and they lose a yard. Redskins defending well, and it's Raven Caldwell who started the game at outside linebacker. That'll bring up 3rd down and long.
One thing the Redskins will do to an offensive football team is that once they get them in a negative situation where it's either 2nd and 10 or 3rd and 10, they will try to keep that trend going by blitzing and putting a lot of people on the line of scrimmage. That time, again, they came with the safety blitz, and they stopped Walker before he could gain anything.
Well, Michael Irvin is back in the lineup, as you see, for the Cowboys. 3rd down and 11, and we'll see how the Redskins defense plays this one. Here comes the blitz. Aikman getting rid of it, and it's incomplete. Kelvin Martin was the intended receiver, and once again, the Cowboys have not been able to keep the Redskin defense away from Troy Aikman in this game.
Well, Aikman is learning a lot today. tough thing is he's getting hit while he's learning it. He's got to learn one thing about the pass protection in the National Football League is it's strongest up the middle. He is running out of the pocket too many times where he should be stepping up into the pocket and trying to deliver the ball there. That's where his offensive linemen expect him to be, and that's where he's got to be to get the ball off.
So it's 4th down, and Mike Saxon will be kicking. Joe Howard goes deep for the Redskins. And we'll have a roughing or running into the kicker penalty. It'll be Dallas ball, and Jimmy Johnson, rookie from Howard University. And Saxon gets up limping, and he's shaken up. The left foot.
Number 88 is Jimmy Johnson, the football player, not the coach. This is Saxon getting off a tremendous boot. But he gets the left ankle of Saxon as he comes down, and that could be real serious. He is in real pain there.
He is, and
oftentimes you see a punter put on an act, folks. That is no act.
Personal foul, running into the kicker, 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
So it's not roughing the kicker, and Jimmy Johnson is upset at this. He wants to know why it isn't roughing the kicker. It is 4th down, and now his punter is hurt, and they have to kick the ball away. That was a 52-yard kick anyway, as you mentioned, a beauty by Saxon. Roger Ruzek, who's the place kicker, will have to come in and boot it away.
This is close to being a 15-yarder, but I got to believe that what Haggerty saw is that Johnson wasn't going for the ball, that he may have been tripped on his way in and really just lost control. Let's take another look at it. Johnson dives, trying to make a clear attempt to block the punt, and his momentum carried him into Saxon's foot.
You're right, it is not a roughing. He really wasn't roughing. It may be rough on Saxon, but it wasn't roughing on Johnson because he just kind of nailed his foot a little bit after the kick, or as it was going up. So Ruzek will be punting, and Joe Howard again back deep for the Redskins. And he gets a bad snap. Does a good job to get it away. A fair catch called for and bobbled by Howard at about the 20, but the Redskins recover. Howard was right there. Well, good marks for Ruzek in the clutch. He went 29 yards. He's got a smile on his face. He did his job, though, and there was no return.
Yeah, well, he's a kicker. I mean, he kicks the ball when it's on the ground. Why can't he kick it when he's holding it in his hands, huh? Specialist, right?
Never looked at it that way. (17-7) Washington, and Ron Francis has gone in at right cornerback for Robert Williams, who's lost for the rest of the game with a sprained knee. And in the linebacker core, Ron Burton, who was a starter last week, now relegated to backup, has replaced Ken Norton at weak side linebacker. First down, Redskins on their 21. Jamie Morris, and a penalty flag is down. Maybe a holding call as Morris carries it out to the 26. Eugene Lockhart on the stop.
Offense.
And it's holding against the Redskins. Now we have another injury out there. Russ Grimm. Earlier in the game, Joe Jacoby was shaken up, came out briefly, and now Russ Grimm has to leave the game. He's the guy that was going against Dean Hamill, the former Redskin, on the line, and Hamill was the one who came into the game hurt.
Yeah, and it's not a good sign to see Russ Grimm limping at all because he's had so many problems with his knees. The fortunate thing for the Redskins is they have a very capable backup in Raleigh McKenzie who will come in and take Grimm's place.
First down and 20 following the holding call. Back to the 11. Rypien pass to Art Monk to the 15, and another flag, and we may have a face mask call this time. Eugene Lockhart is saying, "What, me?" And we'll see what the penalty is.
It's going to be guilty, Your Honor. Lockhart reached in on Monk and grabbed his face mask.
Face mask. Incidental face mask. 5-yard penalty.
Incidental, only 5 yards.
Monk again over the middle, working against the linebackers here. And Lockhart comes over, delivers the hit, but that left hand is all over Monk's face mask. Exhibit A.
Second down and 10 for the Redskins. 10:37 remaining in the third quarter. Still 17-7 Washington. Rypien under pressure. And his pass intended for Sanders just over his head, and Francis covering on the play. And now for an NFL Today report. Let's check in now with Brent Musburger. Brent? Big game by a big back, Anderson, but the Lions are giving the Bears a fight. Meanwhile, the crowd hasn't had that much to cheer about as a second down and 10. 3 wide receivers for the Skins. Rypien drills it. Sanders, the intended receiver. 3 defenders there, including Everson Walls. That will bring up third down.
Rypien had an interesting mismatch on the near side of the field, opposite where he threw the ball. He had Ernest Biner single covered against, actually Randy Shannon was guarding Biner on the flank that time. I'm sure that Biner will go back to his quarterback and let him know that, hey, I think I can beat this guy. He's just a linebacker.
Third down and 10. On a rollout, Hendricks chasing Rypien, and this pass is caught by Art Monk. It'll be a Redskin first down on 3rd and long. Ron Francis on the stop at the 40-yard line, and a 19-yard pickup to Art Monk, having a terrific day.
Watch this ball come from shadow to light. Art Monk does a nice job of keeping it, but also a good play call here. The Redskins offensive coaches anticipated the Cowboys coming with a blitz. They called the controlled roll out there to Rypien, and they came away with a big play. Gives credit now to the coaching staff of the Redskins.
What a day. 114 yards, 6 receptions for Art Monk. First down at the Redskin 40. Jamie Morris gets a couple. Art Monk is now tied with the great Harold Carmichael as the 8th all-time receiver in the National Football League. 590 career catches for number 81 out of Syracuse University. And while all attention is being paid to Sanders and Clark, Monk has gotten free for some big passes today.
You can't double coverage all of them.
2nd and 7 up. The Skins 43. Wide open, penalty marker down, and Jamie Morris straight ahead into Cowboy territory. Shannon on this tackle. It'll be a first down pending the flag. And it'll go against the Redskins. Backfield in motion.
Ray Horton also individually for Dallas.
Illegal motion, right side of the line, still 2nd down.
Not the backfield, but motion nonetheless. And that'll nullify a first down.
Nullify a real good play, too. They came with the play they call the wham play, where the guy in motion, Donnie Warren, will come down in short motion and crack on the defensive tackle, and that opened a huge hole for Jamie Morris.
The penalty story thus far, 6 for Washington, 2 for Dallas. 2nd down and 12 now. Back to the Redskins 38. On the draw play, Jamie Morris. He'll get hung up at the 40-yard line. Picks up only a couple, and it was Eugene Lockhart who made the stop for the Cowboys as 8 minutes and 20 seconds remain in the 3rd quarter.
You know, we've talked about the advantage that the Redskins have had today in yardage, field position, time of possession, all those things. But you look at the scoreboard, and it's only a 10-point game. The Cowboys are 1 play away from getting back in this game.
3 wide receivers again for the Redskins. That's what they're banking on. We could just get that 1 score, they're saying. We've got a game here. Rypien to Biner. First down, Redskins. Ernest Biner with a fine catch. Vince Albritton on the tackle into Dallas territory, and that should move the stick.
Ernest Biner's getting a lot of action today. He's number 21 coming out of the backfield here. He's a guy that Joe Gibbs says is the greatest practice player he has ever seen. He just is a tireless worker. He'll do whatever he's asked. He'll work out with the defense, show the scout plays for them. Also with the H-backs and the running backs, special teams, the whole bit. Ernest Biner has really proven to be a great team player for the Redskins.
And Rypien is in 2 in a row for only the first time today. They were timely completions and a first down on the 49 of Dallas. Play fake, reverse. And Rypien trying to go to Jamie Morris and throws it low and says, yep, it's my fault.
A little razzle-dazzle for the Redskins there. The problem for their offensive execution at that time is the Cowboys were in a zone defense, so everybody is playing their positions on the field rather than worrying about, hey, my man is running a reverse, no, now he's in the screen pass. They were just staying what they call at home, playing their responsibilities, so the Redskins had nothing going anywhere.
And while Monk and some of the receivers have gotten loose today, Dan, and they've thrown everything but the kitchen sink, I think Dallas' defense has stood up pretty well.
Well, it's still 17-7. That's the bottom line.
2nd down 10. Rypien under pressure. Gets it to Morris. Morris close to another first down for the Redskins. Just outside the Dallas 40. Ray Horton, a strong safety, knocked him out of bounds.
We'll take a look at Morris on what you call the hot pattern. Sometimes you try to block them all. Sometimes you just let them come in and throw to the guy they don't cover. That's what Rypien did that time. And he did a nice job of throwing off his back foot as he's fading in the pocket. And that sets up a 3rd and 1 for the Redskins.
There's the drive, the 10th play coming up. 4 minutes and 30 seconds elapsed from the clock. Reggie Graves, number 29, short yardage back is in there. Biner has the first down, and Branch does his job blocking. Lockhart and Burton making the tackle, and the Redskins keep the ball, and they're playing ball control without their big man, Gerald Riggs, who has been out since the 2nd quarter with a bruised chest muscle.
You got to have guys that can contribute when called upon. Biner, I'm sure, did not expect to play this much in the tailback position today. He's done an outstanding job.
There is Riggs, who can only watch today, gained 26 yards and 10 carries before he had to come out. First down on the 37 of the Cowboys. Rypien with time, and Morris holds on to the ball and picks up about 8 yards on that. Randy Shannon makes the stop on Jamie Morris.
We talked earlier about the advantage of being only 5'7". Again, Morris catches that ball and then ducks a tackle and makes extra yardage.
Well, at least one of the Morrises seeing action this year. The Giants, of course, hurt with the loss of Joe Morris, their top running back for the season. Joe's younger brother now has to carry the family colors for the Washington Redskins. Second down and 3 now. Great time of possession effort for Washington throughout this year. Morris spins his way and doing a terrific job. Gets another first down for the Redskins. Inside the 25.
Well, the Hogs up front are taking control of this ball game right now. Moving them out with just man-on-man blocking, and Biner and Morris are doing a nice job of picking the holes and getting up the field.
The time of possession, 27 minutes to just under 12 for Dallas. Big edge to the Redskins. 2 tight ends on first down at the 22. Again, Morris inside the 20. That was the 13th play of this drive. Winding down to 4.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. We understand that Ken Norton will not be back in at weak side linebacker for the Cowboys, has a sprained left knee. And there is a new face, Kevin Lilly, former San Francisco 49er, who was signed this week in on the defensive line. Here comes a blitz, and Lockhart gets a hold of Morris, and he gets him back at the 20-yard line, a loss of 1 on the play.
Cowboys trying to make a play defensively here. They'll come with the blitz. Lockhart, number 56, does a nice job of getting by Bostic. But look at the strength of Jamie Morris as he pulls through, almost through that tackle, and picks up about 3 yards. Lockhart had him in the backfield, but the strength of Morris, with big thighs of his, got him to some harder yardage.
Andy Hendricks is in there, and Bill Bates as well. He's been hampered with a groin muscle. And Bates, number 40, in the game on 3rd down and 6. Rypien. And the defender fell down. And Ricky Sanders was wide open in the end zone. And the Dallas defender had slipped. Ron Francis. And if the pass had been there, it would have been an easy touchdown.
What happens here is that Sanders and Francis kind of get tangled up a little bit. As Sanders is going to the corner there, he stumbles a little bit, and Rypien, knowing that the blitz was coming, didn't have enough time to set himself and deliver a good pass.
Dick Lohmiller will try a field goal from 37 yards out. Holding will be Marcienko. And the kick is up. It's good. And the Redskins have added to their lead. Lohmiller's second field goal of the game. And it's now 20-7 Washington. Cowboys and Indians booting it up here at Texas Stadium. Capacity crowd for the 59th renewal of this rivalry. The Redskins took 8 minutes off the clock, capped by Low Miller's field goal, and a 20-7 lead. And the kickoff getting over to James Dixon at the 5. Dixon, he falls down and won't get much. Well, the Dallas Cowboys have yet to score in the second half this year. They've been outscored 24-0 and still have no points to show for their efforts with 3:03 remaining in the third quarter.
Jimmy Johnson made the stop for the Redskins.
Redskins 20, Cowboys 7 with 3:03 remaining in the third quarter. Look at the rushing yardage today. 116 for Washington, only 20 for the Cowboys. But it's Dallas ball on their 13-yard line. Not good field position at all for Troy Aikman. Kevin Scott in the game is a potential receiver, number 35. Aikman in trouble, down inside the 10. Raven Caldwell that time, and that is the 4th sack of the game by the Redskins.
Raven Caldwell.
Marcus Cook and Caldwell combined that time. Raven Caldwell gets credit for it.
And we talked about the different looks that Aikman is going to see today. Well, Richie Pettibone just showed him a different look on that play, using just 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers. He blitzed 2 of the outside linebackers, Caldwell and Wilbur Marshall, and Caldwell came up with a sack.
What's interesting is that Dexter Manley is the lineman who comes out of the game. Normally he's a pass rusher, and in that situation they took him out. 2nd down and 14 on the 9. Inside handoff to Herschel Walker. And it takes a bunch of burgundy jerseys to finally bring him down close to the 15. Right now, for an NFL Today report, find out what's going on from Brent Musburger. Brent?
We have about 5. Top balls, Alvin Wilson. Charles Mann, the sophomore of the Redskins.
Thank you, Brent. Philadelphia doing a number against some tough clubs to start this season. 3rd down and 9, meanwhile, for the Cowboys. Fred Stokes, number 60, in as an inside pass rusher. Aikman completes the pass to Alexander, and a 1st down, 15 yards to Ray Alexander, and Clarence Vaughn makes the stop, but a penalty marker is down, so hold everything.
Unfortunately, it's thrown in the area where they usually call holding against the offensive line. I got to believe that that's what this will be.
Holding, number 66, offense.
Kevin Gogan, the right tackle.
Gogan's trying to block probably the 2nd best defensive lineman in the game today next to Reggie White. Charles Mann has just done an outstanding job all day long putting pressure on Aikman going around Gogan. Here they are working against each other. Gogan gets his hands extended, but now once man is by him, he's got to let him go. He's protecting his quarterback. Doesn't allow Aikman to get hit, but the referee's right there with the flag.
When people talk about the problems in the Redskin defensive line, they don't talk about Charles Mann.
No, they don't. He's one of the best in the game.
3rd down and 16, backed up to the 7 now, is Troy Aikman. Aikman fires it out, and Herschel Walker can't hold on, and that'll bring up 4th down. And now, bit of an adventure here because Mike Saxon sprained a left ankle. And he's coming back. Roger Ruzek punted when Saxon got shaken up the last time the Cowboys had a kick. And there's Mr. Shula and Mr. Johnson.
Looking for answers. Right now, they are having a lot of problems out there. Most of the problems have been in that offensive line, not protecting the quarterback and not allowing Herschel any running lanes.
There's Howard, who's already in Cowboy territory. Saxon kicking Will back into the end zone. And a marker down.
False start, number 86, offense.
James Dixon.
That's really inexcusable on a punt formation here. You've got to hold your water, as they say, stay still. Now they're really putting the heat on Saxon. He's got a sprained left ankle, and now he doesn't have the normal 15 yards to get this punt off.
Interesting that Jimmy Johnson just went over to Troy Aikman and kind of sympathized with the plight he's had to face today. Good kick, great kick by Saxon, sends Howard back to his own 35. But the Cowboys don't get to him, and Howard runs into Dallas territory. A 16-yard return by Joe Howard after nearly a 60-yard kick by Saxon. In Washington, good field position when we start again. Dick Stockton and Dan Fouts back at Texas Stadium, a sellout crowd, and the Cowboy fans have not had that much to cheer about today. The Redskins, with tremendous ball control, outstanding defense, have run out to a 20-7 lead with 49 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. It'll be 1st down for the Redskins on the Dallas 46. Following a fine return by Joe Howard, Jamie Morris had to play the tailback spot in place of the injured Gerald Riggs. Picks up about 5. Randy Shannon on to tackle that time.
The Cowboys have got to make the play now. They've got to force the turnovers. They cannot allow the Redskins to go down and even get 3 points. They're only down by 13 as we run out this 4th quarter, or this 3rd quarter. But it's up to the Cowboys, and they've got to come up with some blitzes, jar that ball loose from these running backs, maybe make an interception. But their offense is incapable of doing anything so far today. They are on the line right now to win this ball game.
The only score by the Cowboys came on a fumble recovery. Jim Jeffcoat ran 77 yards. That's the only thing they've been able to muster. And time runs out in the 3rd quarter. That is the end of the 3rd quarter here at Texas Stadium with the score, the Washington Redskins 20 and the Dallas Cowboys 7. We now pause for a word from your local station. Start of the fourth quarter here at Texas Stadium. The Redskins with a 20-7 lead and the ball. Second down and 5 on the Cowboys' 41-yard line. Play fake. And Rypien going up on top. Intended for Sanders. Incomplete. Covered by Ron Francis.
Dean Hamill does a great job of hitting his old teammate, Mark Rypien. This is a gut shot right there. Rypien will feel that for a couple of days.
Dean Hamill, of course, left the Redskins training camp. His wife had diagnosed as having cancer. It's in remission right now, and he also had problems with the Redskin coaches and never came back and ultimately dealt with the Cowboys.
The first trade between these two teams in over 22 years. Very unusual.
3 wide receivers on 3rd and 5 for Rypien. And the pass was deflected at the line of scrimmage. Not sure whether Tolbert got a hand on it. In any event, it'll be 4th down or Jones. You got to go with Jones as your first pick, I think, in that instance.
Well, you know one thing that Ed Too Tall Jones has taught all his teammates, his technique of once you can't get to that quarterback, get your eyes on him, find out where he's looking, and get your hands up, try and knock it down.
Ralph Moshienko, who was born in West Germany, will be punting. Kelvin Martin is deep for Dallas. Manny Hendricks came close again. And this kick rolls into the end zone for a touchback. 41-yard kick by Moshienko. And less than a minute into this fourth quarter, the Cowboys get another chance. And Steve Walsh, who this week said he wanted to be traded, that won't happen, makes his first appearance of the season.
I like this move. You know, Aikman's had a rough afternoon. No sense exposing him to more intellectual and physical embarrassment out here. Let's give Walsh a try. He can't do any worse. May do better.
On the 21st and 10. The NFL debut for Steve Walsh. And his first pass is caught by Michael Irvin, and it's a first down for the Cowboys, 15 yards. Alvin Walton, as Troy Aikman watches now from the sideline.
And I talked with Jimmy Johnson about the Steve Walsh situation before the game, and he feels that Steve Walsh is every bit as capable of running his offense, if not more, than Troy Aikman, because he is comfortable. He knows this offense. He ran this offense for Jimmy Johnson at the University of Miami for 3 years.
First down on the 35, and that sure did get a rise out of this capacity crowd. Walsh to throw again, tipped, and it's intercepted. Charles Mann or Darrell Grant. It was Darrell Grant who picks it up. Broderick Sargent was the intended receiver, and it's Washington ball.
Well, this is just rotten luck for Steve Walsh as this ball is bounced up in the air and Grant makes the interception. Broderick Sargent just wasn't quite ready for this pass, and Walsh was under some pressure to get it away fast. Charles Mann again just throwing Kevin Gogan down and now laying into Steve Walsh. The best pass defense is a good pass rush, and the Redskins have had a great pass rush today.
That's the third turnover by the Dallas Cowboys. 2 tight ends for the Redskins on the Dallas 36. Jamie Morris knocks the defenders back several yards. Tremendous power by a small-sized running back. Randy Shannon gets credit for the tackle. Pickup of about 8 yards. It's been a Redskin defensive day all the way by the linebackers, backs, and defensive line.
The big point there is that they have not allowed any points. The 4 sacks, the 3 interceptions. One of those interceptions went for a touchdown.
And the Redskins have allowed the Cowboys into their territory only twice all afternoon. Second down and 2 now at the Dallas 28. They go to Morris. He's not going to get the first down as he is hung up by Willie Broughton and several other Cowboys.
Willie Broughton.
Under 13 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, 20-7 the score. The Redskins got their points. 2 field goals by Chip Lohmiller, a 12-yard touchdown run by Ernest Biner, and Alvin Walton's 29-yard interception for a touchdown. And the injured offensive lineman Russ Grimm is back in the game now for the Redskins.
But watch where he's going to go play, though. He's going to play tight end on the left side of the line here.
Reggie Branch in at short yardage, 3rd and 1. He's the up back for the Redskins. And we may have a false start, we'll see, as 4 flags fly. It was Dallas's penalty, though.
Encroachment. Defense.
Well, this is just handing them a free 5 yards. We'll watch Jeffcoat, number 77 here, come across the line of scrimmage and make contact. That's why they call it encroachment. There he buckles Lachey's right arm. So that's a killer penalty. If the Cowboys have any chance at all, they had to stop him there on 3rd and short. They give him a free 5 yards and a free first down.
First down on the 22. See the shifting by the Dallas defense. On the counter, Morris breaks 1 tackle. There's a flag down, and Morris is down at the 20 after picking up 2. Randy Shannon and Ron Burton now.
Holding defense, number 56.
And that's against Eugene Lockhart, and this reminds us of last week's game between San Francisco and Tampa Bay, when all of a sudden the Buccaneers committed a lot of defensive penalties late in the game.
And penalties have really hurt the Cowboys so far this year. They came into the game with 18 penalties, which is
Holding, number 56, defense, first down.
which is 3rd worst in the NFL. In fact, Jimmy Johnson employed some referees to come out to practice this week to call penalties against the team in practice. He felt that a referee out there telling a player that that's a penalty carried a lot more weight than an assistant coach. He likened it to when you're driving in the car, maybe going too fast, getting pulled over by the highway patrol. That means a lot more than having your wife say, honey, you're driving too fast.
Depends on what family you come from.
I haven't heard that word honey too much. Slow down, dummy.
First down, Redskins. They're on the 15, and Jamie Morris dives forward to about the 12-yard line. No matter who tells you, it's bad news. Eugene Lockhart and Willie Broughton combine on the stop. Once again, the Redskins, no matter where they get the ball, Dan, are using ball control to chew up time and not giving Dallas a chance with the ball.
Well, they're really showing their real class here. They're using as much clock as they possibly can. Rypien's doing a nice job of pacing the ball club. The offensive line, as they've been all day, are really in control right now.
They've had the ball for over 33 minutes, nearly 34. An incredible advantage in time of possession. On the counter, Jamie Morris is going to score for the Redskins, who pad their lead. 12-yard touchdown run by Jamie Morris. And with Riggs out, other backs are getting their chance today, such as Morris and Ernest Biner.
Again, it's the counter gap play. We're going to see Lachey and Raleigh McKenzie. Now, this play can go up inside, but that's where all the Cowboys are. Morris bounces it to the outside. No support on the outside. Touchdown, Redskins.
Chip Lohmiller. With Troy Aikman watching, we'll probably see Steve Walsh come out again for the Cowboys. Lohmiller having a fine day, kicks the conversion to make it 27-7 in favor of the Redskins. Jamie Morris scores. The Redskins doing it on the ground, and when you do it to that degree, look at the time of possession. Nearly 34 minutes to 15, and they have scored 2 touchdowns off of the 3 turnovers by the Dallas Cowboys. 27-7 the score with 10:44 remaining in the 4th quarter. And I guess it's a great chance for other backs other than Riggs to show what they could do this afternoon.
Well, Biner's had a fine day, and Jamie Morris, but the key, of course, are the Hogs up front. The offensive line's having a great afternoon. The good news, bad news thing for Steve Walsh is now, hey, listen, you get to play the game. The bad news is you're down 20 points with just 10 minutes to go.
The kickoff goes into the end zone and out, and Dallas will take it out at the 20-yard line. So Steve Walsh gets the call again. He completed his first pass to Michael Irvin for 15 yards. His second pass was batted in the air and intercepted by Darrell Grant. San Francisco has cut the Eagles' lead to 4. The Giants rolling over Phoenix, man.
Well, the Eagles had better not let Joe Montana have the ball in the last 2 minutes with just a 4-point lead. We've seen him bring his team back and win many, many games.
First down, Dallas on the 20. Walsh. Incomplete, intended for Irvin, with Brian Davis covering on the play. By the way, Tom Rafferty had a dislocated right thumb, went to the locker room for x-rays, and Bob White has replaced him as center for Dallas.
Injuries are really taking their toll on the Cowboys today, and this is a team that doesn't have the depth necessary to overcome injuries.
They're thin at wide receiver. They have had some secondary injury problems, and then there's the defensive line. That's been a problem spot. Here comes the blitz on second down. Tipped again. Nearly another interception. Herschel Walker was the intended receiver, and Raven Caldwell knocked it into the air.
Well, the Redskins are treating Walsh just like they treated Aikman, very roughly. Coming with the blitz on second and long again, trying to force a turnover.
It'll be third down and 10 on the 20-yard line. The other point here is that the Redskins have really done a tremendous job of sealing off Herschel Walker. He has not been any kind of a threat to them.
You got to really hand it to their defensive line and their scheme today. They put a lot of men on the line of scrimmage trying to bottle Herschel up, and they've done the job.
Low snap. Clarence Vaughn was right in Steve Walsh's face on another safety blitz, and it's been like a broken record for the Redskins today for how they've defensed the young quarterbacks of the Cowboys.
Well, let's take a look at Clarence Vaughn, number 31 here. This is a freebie here. Nobody there to block him. He comes in, and Walsh has no choice but to dump the ball. Looked like Vaughn even let up a little bit, trying to deflect the pass instead of laying into Walsh.
Any effect on the confidence as we see Howard going back, Saxon to kick on Aikman, who had to leave the game?
Well, his confidence is really shaken today because this is an outstanding defense that can embarrass you both physically and mentally. And right now, he's had both of those problems. And just a better football team is beating him right now.
Down at the 32-yard line by Dave Weidel. 48-yard kick. Redskins ball again.
Time out on the field. Scores from the game.
been a sobering home opener for Jimmy Johnson and the new regime of the Dallas Cowboys as the Washington Redskins have done a number. Troy Aikman's numbers, nothing to shout about. 6 for 21, 83 yards, and 2 interceptions. He's been replaced by Steve Walsh, the other rookie out of the University of Miami. Meanwhile, the Redskins have the ball, and they've been chewing up the clock all day. Jamie Morris on first down picks up about 4, about the 36-yard line.
Yeah, we're going to see the basic 3 yards in an AstroTurf burn offense now. The Redskins are looking to run the clock out. They've got enough points. Trouble with the Cowboys offense this year, they've only scored 21 points in 3 games, and they've been shut out. Now, if they don't score this game, their offense has in 2 of the 3 games. So they've got some real problems offensively.
And no points in the second half all season if they don't score. Second down and 6. 85 yards on the ground for Jamie Morris today. Morris with a chance for more. Slices his way out to the 40-yard line. Will bring up 3rd and about 3 now. Making the tackle was Tony Tolbert with help from Ron Burton.
You look at the pace of the game now, the Cowboys' defensive line, they're slow getting up off the ground. They've been totally demoralized this afternoon and also beaten up pretty good physically. Ed Jones, in a long time since he's been in a Super Bowl, I don't think he sees a Super Bowl in his future.
Well, at age 38, being the veteran on a team that's just starting a program.
Really amazing athlete. You really got to tip your hat to Tall. Played 15 years now, has never missed a ball game.
Timeout called by the Washington Redskins. That's their first. We'll be back. Interceptions by the Redskin defense. 2 of them resulted in touchdowns. Walton returned 1 for a 29-yard score, and after Darrell Grant's pick, Jamie Morris scored moments later.
On the other side of that coin, the Redskins offense has done a good job. Just 1 turnover today, although the Cowboys did pick it up for a touchdown.
3rd down and 3 for Mark Rypien. Tipped. And that'll be 4th down, tipped again at the line. That's the 3rd time today the Cowboys have been able to get a piece of a Mark Rypien toss.
That can be really frustrating for a quarterback because that's the last thing he expects is to not get the ball underway.
Ralph Morshienko will be punting again for the Redskins, and Kelvin Martin goes deep for the Cowboys. Backing up Martin. And he can't get away from Reggie Brandt. Good coverage. Right now for an NFL Today report as games coming down to the finish. Let's check in again with Brent Musburger. Brent?
A.J. Johnson brings down Kelvin Martin, setting the Cowboys up for this. Steve Walsh, quarterback.
And you're right when you said 5 minutes to go. You never know how those games end. The Eagles have been playing that kind of a game, and Jimmy Giles out of the mothballs to help the Eagles.
The Eagles have a lot of talent there, and Jimmy Giles is one of those emotional leaders for the club.
Cowboys have a 1st down on the 15. Steve Walsh in relief of Scott Aikman. First pass, Michael Irvin holds on. Gets about 9. Wilbur Marshall making the tackle on Irvin.
Now the Cowboys, if they have any chance of winning this game, they've got to go to a hurry-up offense now, but they're not doing it. They're going back in the huddle, and they're taking their good, sweet time calling these plays. They've only got 8 minutes to go, and they're down by 20 points. I'd be on that line of scrimmage running them as quick as you can.
Instead, it looks like they're the team with the lead, trying to use up the clock. 2nd down and 1.
It's almost as if they've given up.
Pitch to Herschel Walker. look like a broken play, and Walker will lose at least a yard. Marshall and Gouveia in on the stop.
Well, they're really in disarray right now. David Shula on the right, calling the plays to giving the play to Babe Laufenberg, and he'll signal it in. I got to wonder if they don't have a hurry-up offense, why not?
So far this year, they haven't had any reason to hurry up. But sooner or later, they will. 3rd down and 2 for the Cowboys. Alexander, the 3rd wide receiver. This is the way Steve Walsh sees it. Now a whistle. They have too many men out there?
No, they didn't have enough. Redskins are out there with 10 men.
Washington, number 2.
That's their 2nd timeout. They have 1 left, and they don't feel that that's going to be a factor for them with a 20-point lead and 7 minutes to go.
That was really a good timeout because the Cowboys had a receiver all the way out to the one side here, and he was uncovered.
You don't want that. Well, the action continues on CBS Sports. Next Sunday, the NFL Today at 12:30 Eastern. The big one, the Redskins against the New Orleans Saints. Saints have been struggling a little bit this year, and the Redskins trying to get in gear again. Late game, it'll be the Rams against the 49ers. As the NFC West, one of the toughest divisions, they'll play at Candlestick Park. Or you'll see the Giants, who are rolling over Phoenix today against these Dallas Cowboys, who are just looking for a win anywhere, anytime. That all begins at 12:30 Eastern with the NFL Today. Dean Hamill, who is looking forward so much to this game.
Very disappointed ball club looking there on the sidelines, looking out onto the field.
3rd down and 2 at the 23. And the pass, Kevin Scott. He caught it, but it looks shy of the 1st down. It was Clarence Vaughn on the stop, and Scott is grabbing onto his left knee.
This is not a good sign at all. Scott made the grab. It was hit right away by Vaughn. And he's got some real problem with that left knee. Here he is, number 35, running an out pattern. Walsh delivers the ball. It's way short of the 1st down. And that's a little bit of an extension there on that left knee. Hopefully it's not too bad.
You mentioned the injury problem, which has really struck the Cowboys in almost every area today, and a team that doesn't have a great deal of depth.
And that injury that you just saw there is an AstroTurf injury. You saw how his feet were planted in this turf, and on a hot, warm day, there's no moisture down there. The traction is too good, and the cleats don't give way. The ligaments and joints do, and I believe that's what happened to Kevin Scott on that play.
Been kind of a downer for the Cowboys in their home opener after a successful preseason. They run into a buzzsaw this afternoon against the Redskins, and I think the last thing that they had wanted was to face a team 0-2 after 2 of the most heartbreaking losses you could imagine. Losses to the Giants and the Eagles, but the Redskins have played a solid game that ought to put a smile back on the face of Joe Gibbs. 28-24. 49ers lurk in Joe Montana. We've seen that before, huh, Dan?
He can lurk with the best of them. Big win for the Giants over Phoenix.
Bears 47-20. Pittsburgh, after they have reached rock bottom, look like they're coming back.
And what's happened to Minnesota? They're now going to be 1-2.
And the other scores. And Tampa Bay holding on to a 20-10 lead over New Orleans. And the story there is that Hebert and Forcade, the 2 quarterbacks for the Saints, were knocked out of action.
Johnson has decided to go for this 4th and 1. He had the punting team on the field, but has called them back to the sidelines and sent his offense back out there.
Now, Jerry Jones is on the sideline, and Dan, we didn't think he was going to be down there today.
Well, we had a very special guest toss the coin before the game, Elizabeth Taylor, and she was sitting up in the box with Jerry Jones. This tells me one of 2 things. Liz is either gone.
She saw enough.
I think she's seen enough of this game. But this takes a lot of guts to go down on the field for an owner when you're down by 20 points.
Well, I mean, you play for owners that like to do that occasionally, and I guess the key is if you're going to go down on the field, go down when your team loses as well as when they win.
We had an owner by the name of Gene Klein down on the field one day when we were up against the Atlanta Falcons about 21 to 10 or so in the third quarter, and he came down and was patting everybody on the sidelines at the start of the fourth quarter, and the Falcons came back and beat us. And we turned around, and he was gone.
Were you looking for him?
Yes, we were. We're going to send him in on 3rd and short.
Joe Gibbs just hoping his team can hang in for the last 6:45 and what has been an impressive showing. 4th down and 1 for the Cowboys with nothing to lose. Double tight end for Dallas. Herschel Walker and a missed handoff, and they're not going to make it. So the roof is caving in. There was a fumble on the play.
Well, as you said, they had nothing to lose that they haven't already lost. This game has been decided probably earlier than we thought.
Let's see if they call it a fumble and a recovery, or if he recovered the fumble and they just didn't make it for the first down. It appears the Redskins will take over in any event. We'll wait till they sort it out.
We're going to bring the chains in and look at it, but I don't believe this is going to be a first down. It appeared that Walsh wanted to hand the ball to Sargent and didn't know who he should have handed it to. It looked like Walker with Sargent leading up in the middle there. The handoff went to Sargent, and then he had to pull it back out and gave it to Walker. The timing was way off, and you see they didn't get up the first down.
Sargent goes over, and Jimmy Johnson wants to know what happened. I'm sure he will ask Steve Walsh, and he's doing that right now. In any event, it's the Redskins' ball as they stop the Cowboys on 4th and 1. That's been the Cowboys' plight in the second half. They have been outscored 34-0 in the second half of their 3 games this season. And we have 6:29 remaining in this one. On the 24 at Dallas, 2 tight ends. Jamie Morris having a big day, gets a couple. Lockhart in on the stop. Well, the Washington Redskins had concern during the week because of their defense, particularly against the pass. Their defense, particularly the people who didn't play that well last week, came out early and showed well from the get-go.
Well, Alvin Walton really set the tone with that interception for a touchdown in the first quarter. But the Redskins offensively, they've been flying high all year. The biggest problem has been the turnovers. They cut down on that today, and they still have been an aggressive team.
2nd down and 8. Morris getting the call again inside the 20. It'll be 3rd and about 3. Of course, the big concern for the Redskins has to be Gerald Riggs, and hope that the bruised muscle in his chest heals, because as well as the line and Morris and Viner have played today, they're going to need Gerald Riggs, you know, as the season moves along.
Well, they really are. They're fortunate today that they did not have to expose him to further injury. I'm sure that he came into the game with the best intentions of playing through that injury, but it got worse as he played, and the decision was to take him out. The Redskins are lucky. They've got the depth at running back, and they've got the great offensive line that they can afford to give a guy like Riggs most of his day off.
On the 18 of the Cowboys, 3rd down and 4. On the delay, Morris looking for room. He's short of the first down. Gerald Riggs on the sideline. Not a pleasant week for him, because everyone wanted to talk about the fumble and not the great day he had, 221 yards.
And if you notice his left shoulder there, he's getting ready for next week. He already has an ice bag on that sore left shoulder of his, and he's getting a little treatment here, looking forward to next week's game.
And a tough one as the Redskins face the Saints in New Orleans. On 4th down, Lohmiller will try the field goal. Washington will hold. This will be a 33-yard attempt. Lohmiller 2 for 2 thus far this afternoon. And Chip's kick is good. He's off to a fine start. He's 5 for 6 on the year, and the Redskins have now extended their lead to 30-7 over the Dallas Cowboys. They've averaged 31 points in the 3 games so far. So that says something about that offense.
Well, they're right on target, aren't they?
Many of the fans have already departed Texas Stadium. Others are starting to make their way out.
And that's really your goal as a visiting team, is to take the crowd out of the game early in the game and then watch them leave when you got enough points.
They've done that. The Redskins scored first on an interception return and a score by Walton. We were tied at 7-7.
Now these fans are going to stay all day, so this one's over.
They're going nowhere. There you see the scoring by quarters, and for the Redskins, 23 unanswered points in this game since the first quarter. Lohmiller will be kicking off. Deep for the Cowboys. He'll send the same pair, James Dixon and Darryl Clack. And Redskins have their supporters here in Texas.
You don't think they're rubbing it in a little bit, do you?
Well, they're sitting in the right place, way in the back.
Cheap seats.
Dixon at the goal line. Penalty marker down as Dixon, with a fine return, out of bounds at the 35-yard line, but a flag down.
Reggie Branch wants Dixon out of bounds. Flag on the play.
Gilligan pushing it back on the return.
Well, for the Washington Redskins, who saw themselves 2 behind the leaders, the 49ers, on a Montana to Brent Jones touchdown pass, have wrested the lead away from the Philadelphia Eagles 31-28 in the waning moments of that game at Veterans Stadium.
Now, I told you so. I decided to get to that in. Joe Montana, as he does almost every week.
You did.
He did it last week against the Bucks. This week against a little bit better football team. Brought his team from behind. Put him in position to win another ball game.
3 minutes to go in that game. The Giants defeat the Cardinals. First down at the 11 for Steve Walsh. Herschel Walker out of the backfield. He has the first down, and it seems like the Cowboys have been starting from deep in their own end most of the day. That was just for 13 yards.
Everything the Redskins have done today has been right, it seems like.
One of the Redskins is shaken up, so we'll have a timeout here. Mike Stensrud, by the way, number 75, the newest Redskin signed this week. That's Clarence Vaughn, who's slow getting up.
Clarence Vaughn shaken up on the play.
Sellout crowd today. 63,000 plus. Very few no-shows. 483. And catch this one. Tampa Bay holding on to a 20-10 lead in the fourth quarter. They could have been 3-0.
Yeah, they could. They beat Green Bay to start the season in Green Bay. Had a tough loss to the Joe Montana-led 49ers last week, and now they're rolling against New Orleans. But it helps to knock 2 quarterbacks out of the game, as the Bucks did against the Saints.
Vaughn is shaken up now. We have 3 minutes and 42 seconds remaining in this game.
This gives Richie Pettibone a chance to use some of these guys you see in the screen here, Fred Stokes and Mike Stensrud and Barry Wilburn, and get them some game experience and move players around. And because you never know during the course of a year with injuries and whatnot. There's Pettibone talking to Caldwell and Alvin Walton on the sidelines. You never know when you're going to have to put a guy in an unfamiliar position.
You know, when we were talking to Richie Pettibone yesterday, Dan, he painted the bleakest picture about that defense. I mean, you would think that the Redskins were going to finish last in the division the way he was talking about it, but his standards got to be a lot higher.
Well, when you've been a successful coach like Richie has been throughout his career, you have higher standards. You expect more out of your team. Coming into this game, the Redskins expected to win. The Cowboys came into this game hoping to win.
First down, and the snap, penalty marker down. Now it's Keystone Cops comedy out there, the way the Cowboys are really out of sync.
Ball start. Number 55, center.
Well, actually, that's number 65, Bob White, Pat, but
it's okay.
You're entitled to one.
Bob White, who replaced Rafferty, who went out with an injury.
White's probably glad they didn't identify him properly. This is a tough time, though, for a rookie coach. His Cowboys are trying out there, and he's not used to being in this situation, winless after 3 games.
But I'll tell you one thing, the fans who support the Washington Redskins are eating this one up. I don't care who the cast is or who's on the sidelines. Even if it's not Landry, it's Johnson. The Dallas Cowboys are getting whooped here in Dallas, and the Redskin fans have to be enjoying it. First down and 15. Pass is caught by Kelvin Martin. Martin gets a first down and gets hit hard by Raven Caldwell downfield. A gain of 24 yards. I think what the Cowboys would love to do is just get on the board in the second half.
That's all they need to do right now, is just to get something positive to build on for next week and the rest of the season. Right now, and that's probably their best play of the day.
First down on the Dallas 43. Black out of the backfield, and Walsh did not give him a good offering.
Now he kind of short-armed at that time. You know, Kelvin Martin is a player that can help this Cowboy football team. He's got some elusiveness in his running ability after the grab, as you saw in that last play. Interesting nickname for him, Kmart. You wouldn't expect a wide receiver in this day and age to go by a nickname like that. I would expect, you know, maybe Nordstrom, Saxton, the Kmart. I don't understand.
Second down and 10 at the 43. 49ers have just intercepted Randall Cunningham. They have the lead in the ball now in Philadelphia. Herschel Walker has the ball, the catch, and is shy of a first down. If the score remains as it is, this would be the worst Cowboy loss against the Redskins here at Texas Stadium. That may be something for Washington to shoot out the rest of the way. Kelvin Martin on the reception, and a first down from Steve Walsh. Monty Coleman on the stop. They're going to line up. They want to call a timeout, and they do. So the Dallas Cowboys use one of their 3 timeouts, and only the 3rd time today that the Cowboys have managed to get in Redskin territory.
They use that timeout there instead of waiting for the clock to run down to the 2-minute warning, and so they get, in effect, 2 timeouts, 1 for free at the 2-minute warning. But this is important for the Cowboys to establish something positive out of this horrible experience today against the Redskins. Jimmy Johnson will always be remembered as the first time he played the Redskins as having suffered a very embarrassing loss. This will take a little bit of the bite out of him. If they score.
With the timeouts remaining, 30-7, the Redskins in front. "23 unanswered points run off by the Washington Redskins. Special teams, you mentioned that at the top, they've contributed. Both sides of the ball have had big afternoons. Inside handoff to Herschel Walker. Turns the corner, gets the first down, and runs out of bounds and stops the clock with 2:07 to go. A 10-yard pickup. Interesting about the Redskins today is the fact that for a good part of the game, Dexter Manley was on the sidelines when the Redskins went to a 3-man line. Now Manley is in there in the waning moments with a lot of the men off the bench, the subs.
Well, Dexter Manley may be destined to be just a specialist for the Redskins in the future. His long suit is obviously the pass rush. Doesn't play the run as well as he used to earlier in his career, and there may be a reason to believe that his days are numbered as an every down player for the Redskins.
That seems to be the indication. First down for Walsh and the Cowboys on the Redskins 33. Penalty flag down. 2-A, the left tackle.
71, offense.
Mark 2-A, the left tackle, false start. Basically, the Cowboys were penalty-free most of the first half, but it's caught up with them in the second half. 9 in the game.
I believe they must be having trouble with Walsh's cadence as opposed to Aikman's cadence, because they are not getting the ball snapped as crisply as they did when Aikman was in the game. You know, Walsh is a rookie as well, and it appears that the offensive line isn't used to the way he calls the snap count.
First down and 15. Walsh throws it into the hands of Wilbur Marshall. And Wilbur Marshall rambles into Dallas territory, where he's tackled by Herschel Walker. And another turnover. That's the 4th of the game by the Dallas Cowboys, and 4 interceptions by the Redskins. And our 2-minute warning is upon us. We'll be back to Texas Stadium. Jubilant Redskins celebrate. We've had our 2-minute warning, and the Washington Redskins have gotten back on track against the Dallas Cowboys, their arch rival. Meanwhile, Joe Montana has hooked up with Jerry Rice, and now the 49ers have a 10-point lead over the Philadelphia Eagles, 38-28 in the 4th quarter.
Winning again on the road,
where they've done it in the 80s with great regularity.
3 times this year.
Jamie Morris on first down is driven back, and a loss on the play. Ken Tippins. Let's take a look now at the Redskins in the next 7 weeks of the schedule. They're on the road in New Orleans next week. That should be New York Giants and not the Jets after the Phoenix game. So just put the Giants in there, and you know, if they're a game behind Philadelphia after today and still 2 behind Giants, they can make up ground.
These Redskins are very capable of running off 4 or 5 victories in a row. It's not going to be easy, but they have the talent to do it.
Second down and 13. Jamie Morris, the workhorse today, gets back to the 49-yard line of Dallas. Ron Burton on the stop. Corrected schedule, the Giants on the road, Tampa Bay Raiders, and when you really look at it, no game is easy, of course, but the Redskins have a good opportunity now to hang with only 2 losses in the next several weeks.
Well, there's some problems in New Orleans with the quarterback situation. The Cardinals got blown out today. That 3rd game against the Giants, well, maybe you got the revenge factor in there. The Giants had to come from behind on a last-minute field goal to beat the Skins. And then, you know, Tampa's improved, but they're still Tampa. So the Skins, as we said, they're capable of getting right back in this race in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
And you know, with New Orleans hurting at quarterback and maybe going down to defeat, other than New Orleans, the Giants, and Philadelphia on the road, it's not that tough a road for the rest of the first half and early second half for Joe Gibbs' crew.
And the surprising thing is the Redskins have not done well at home, though, the end of last year and the beginning of this year. And they got to find an answer there.
That's what Mark Rypien has done today. A lot of attempts.
Well, the Cowboys defense played well early. They got good pressure on Rypien and forced him to throw a few balls away, or his percentage might be better.
3rd down and 10 at the 48. Art Monk goes in motion. Jamie Morris to the 44-yard line, short of a first down by about 5 yards. Lockhart on the stop. What a game for Art Monk. And Dan said earlier, I guess you can't stop all 3 of those great wide receivers, and Monk had a tremendous afternoon today, going over 100 yards.
And he really got them going early in this ball game with one catch where he broke the tackle from Everson Walls and went about 40 yards. That really seemed to give the Redskins offense a real spark.
Cowboys have called 2 timeouts in the last minute of a regular play, so they are out of timeouts with 1 minute to go in this game, and the Redskins just hanging in there. Jamie Morris, 101 yards rushing today on 26 carries in place of Gerald Riggs. So a big day for Morris. And you mentioned earlier there was a question whether he would be on this Redskin team when the season started.
And what a luxury to be able to be a running back behind this great offensive line that the Redskins have.
Marcienko will be kicking. It's 4th down and 5, and Sheldon Martin goes deep for the Cowboys. 1 minute exactly remaining in this 4th quarter. Texas Stadium crowd, once filled to capacity, now virtually abandoned. Martin calls for the fair catch. It goes into the end zone for a touchback. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes, the season premiere of Murder, She Wrote. Island Sun, special showing, and another special, Wolf. That's all tonight on CBS. Isn't it amazing how people sometimes, you know, draw incredible conclusions based on the first game of the year or the second game and think a team is really going all the way or maybe have no chance to win after 2 out of 16?
You know, I think that the Redskins fans and the Redskin media may be just a little bit spoiled because of all the great success they've had in the last 10 years under Joe Gibbs.
First down on the 20 for Steve Walsh. His pass nearly caught Kelvin Martin. He seemed to be there, and the ball was dropped by him. Darrell Green closest to him.
Well, that's what you call hearing footsteps there. Martin saw that ball kind of just floating to him, and those receivers have an internal clock that tells them that when that grenade is coming, the pin has been pulled, there's going to be an explosion, and the explosion is usually right in their face.
Don't forget to stay tuned for an NFL Today postgame show. We'll have scores and highlights of all the action on this, the third week of the season. Troy Aikman completed 6 of 21, gave way to Steve Walsh. 2 rookies today. Alexander with a leaping catch and a first down for Dallas. That's good for 16 yards. Well, Jerry Jones, the owner, went down on the sidelines as he said he would do all year on the second half. Darryl Clack was not looking as that pass came his way.
Well, you know, you try to hit the receiver in the numbers. The problem on that play is that he hit the receiver in the numbers in the back. He hit
small adjustment.
Clack between the 4 and the 2. It's the front side you got to throw it and have him complete.
Walsh has completed 8 of 16 for 95 yards. Well, they got 2 rookies at quarterback. Cowboys were 3 and 13 last year. Anything better would be a plus for them this season. 2nd and 10. Sargent. Roderick Sargent makes the catch. Brian Davis on the stop. You know, after preseason, everyone said maybe Dallas will play 500 ball, but rookie quarterbacks don't lead you on how good they are.
Well,
in a 500 season.
In an offensive line that's having trouble getting their superstar Herschel Walker underway.
Wilbur Marshall.
That's one of the big things I think they got to do is they got to find a way until Aikman gets settled in a little bit at quarterback. They got to get Herschel Walker to carry them a little.
Well, the game is over, and Steve Walsh and Troy Aikman now know what it's like to suffer through a rookie season. And for Joe Gibbs, his defense turned it around, and his offense chalked up a lot of points again, 30 to be exact, taking advantage of 4 turnovers, 4 interceptions by the Redskins. Wolf, Bowles, Grant, and Marshall all picked one off today as the Redskins win it 30-7. We'll be back to Texas Stadium in just a moment. What does this victory over Dallas convincingly mean?
Well, first of all, I just want to say it's been a great win. Our backs were against the wall in this division here. It's very tough, and you can't afford to fall down 0-3. We felt like coming to this ball game would have been a great start to start off to a good season. Right now, you know, we were struggling. We wasn't making the big plays. We were turning the football over, so we felt like today we had to come out here and take control of the ball game.
What did you talk to Coach Jimmy Johnson about before the game?
Well, Coach Johnson was talking about that Thunderbird. I told him it wasn't a Thunderbird, it was a Cougar. But overall, though, we get along pretty good.
Well, you're convinced that he will get the job done here in Dallas, though, aren't you?
Well, I think Coach Jimmy Johnson has always been a winner, has a good attitude, and I can assure you this: he will bring some outlaws in here, maybe some thugs too, because that's what it takes to win football games. That's what he told me today.
Their defense made turnovers and turned them into points, and their special teams contributed also.
4 sacks and 4 interceptions tell you what the defense did. What about Aikman and Walsh? What's your take on those?
Well, they were embarrassed today. The Redskins threw everything at them, blitzed them a lot, forced them into turnovers, the 4 interceptions, and they learned a great lesson today, and I'm sure they'll be back.
Okay, 30-7 the final score. The Washington Redskins now win.
We'll look for Herschel Walker. But Alvin Walton decides, I'm going to get in the way, make the INT, 29-yard touchdown. The Redskins leading in Big D 7-0. But Dallas's defense had the answer, at least for one play. Redskins inside the 20, but funny, Dallas scores.
Well, Jimmy Jeffcoat picks up the ball, and as you like to say, he's rumbling down toward that end zone.
I'll lend it to you for this one. They're tied at 7-7. As number 7-7 does the dirty deed. But that was the only offense, if you will, that Dallas could muster. They tried to give Herschel the ball, but no. And he had a rough day all day. Doesn't have the horses up front. Dallas had 1 yard rushing in the second quarter. Herschel, 11 carries, 33 yards. And since that didn't work, they tried to go to the air. But the rookie Troy Aikman, under pressure all day. Charles Mann first gets a grasp of him. He escapes that. But Wilbur Marshall makes the play. He's in the grasp with the takedown. And then off the blitz, Todd Bowles smacks Aikman to the ground. He was sacked 4 times today, 6 for 21 in the air. Later on, the man who this week said he wouldn't mind being traded, Steve Walsh, got a shot. But Steve Walsh looking for Michael Irvin. And then the big rush. Watch Walsh. Yeah, it wasn't a great offensive day for the Cowboys. But the Skins had no problem today, even though Gerald Riggs left the game hurt early. First carry as a Redskin, Ernest Biner, touchdown, 12 yards. Skins lead at 14-7. Later in the game, Jamie Morris, who rushed for 100 yards on the day, carried it from 12 yards out, and the Redskins finally didn't let one slip from their grasp. They lost the 2 tough ones in the division, but this time they got on Dallas and stepped their foot on them, beating them 30-7. Morris, one of the guys that ran for 100 yards today. How about 300-yard passes? You know, there's at least a couple. We'll check out the stats, and we'll be back with more.
Bob, you know, whenever I hear the name Tony Dorsett, I have visions of this undersized running back from the University of Pittsburgh running.